King, Mike in the night, and the Gemini crew. Cause you're here with us tonight. Everything's alright when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Giving the world light when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Sometimes things are just absurd, so let's just talk about the world, cause you're here with us tonight. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world, give this page another curl, cause you're here with us tonight.
I bid you all good morning, good evening, good night on this beautiful planet we're living on. I want to thank everybody that is checking in from all across the Commonwealth. We got quite a few people. I went over the channel analytics earlier today at the shop. I was very surprised to see how many people have or watch this channel in Australia. I was actually absolutely fathomed with the amount of viewership in Australia and New Zealand. A little bit in the UK, not too much in the UK, but in like Australia, huge, more than the United States, actually, believe it or not. Almost, I think, more than Canada. My own country I'm in, believe it or not. So we got the comments rolling through. Don't forget to join us live. We are streaming on 7, 8, 9 platforms right now. Right now, you can pick us up on Twitch. You can pick us up on Periscope. I can't even tell you all the names here. We're on so many multi-streaming. Mixer. We're on DLive. We're on Nimeo. We're on YouTube. We're on everywhere. Streaming live. We got the Raven in the comments. Hopefully I can get him on the show if he's not busy. Owen saying, will Mike's channel be running in 2020? And Lord Humongous, Tignim in the house. Oh, the Raven's free, good. So we got lots of people in the comments. We got Danny Knox, Solid Extra, everybody joining. The usual suspects joining the channel. Thank you very much. So I hope everybody had a great Christmas. Everyone's asking me if I had a good one. I have. I had a great Christmas. I had a phenomenal Christmas. The family, and that's all that matters. It's the family. Yeah, and tonight we got a special guest. I'm going to do some channel plugs right now real quick here, just to kind of send some acknowledgement to our affiliates that come on the channel. So this is the Mike Martin. This is the channel you're watching now, guys. Don't forget to, if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe to it if you get some time, and check out what we got going on. We do Mike in the Night every Saturday, 9 p.m. Western Seaboard time. We got Mario Mennicko64 will be on the second hour. He's getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, London time, to come on the show. And he's got some really good advice and really good knowledge and really good insight on actually what is happening when it comes to the world of economics, gold, silver, what we're looking at. So we're getting him on the show on the second hour when it's 6 a.m. We got the McChronicle comes on the show occasionally. I just messaged him. He's tired. Uneducated economist from Oregon. We'll get him on the show again soon. Lord Humongous is my agent down in Colorado. He's on in the comments there as a moderator. And we're going to get Boom Bubble Bust Repeat on the channel. He said he might come on at Trends in the Housing Market, so hopefully we'll catch him tonight in the comment section. But I did message him quite briefly, and hopefully everything's okay. So my friend Jasmine is saying, I saw your video about Max XL. I think Max XL definitely speaks the truth. That's the video I did today, guys. Where is it here? Not Morning Coffee with Mike. Right here. Housing Grip, No Way Out, guys. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. It's actually a pretty big one. Somebody emailed me basically that has money, but can't afford to do anything with money because everything's so damn expensive. So what do you do when you do have the job and you do have the career under your feet, and you know you're running to it, you're psyched, you're pumped, then what? You know. So we got the Raven in the house, we got Lord Humongous, we got everybody, Silver Band, we got a huge group of followers that are watching us, believe it or not, right now live in Russia, off a live streaming service I'm on, and it's only broadcasts in Russia. So, just going through it, I can't even read the writing, it's just in Russian. It's characters, there's a O, a P, I think, and I don't know, but we are streaming on there right now as we are speaking. So, we have 138 people watching on that thing. So, people are watching on other platforms, so... All right. Okay, so let's close this down. Let's go over some channel news actually, and discuss some of the videos I threw up in the last couple of days here. Let's go to video list here. Housing Grip, No Way Out. You want to watch this? Morning Coffee with Mike the American. You want to see this one's not bad. That's actually a pretty good one. What Edmonton, Alberta used to look like in 1980 to 1985. Perth, Australia, 1954. The Free Will Generation. You guys gotta check that out. That's a really good one. What Perth, Australia. I made these videos, so like I put some time into some of this. Morning Coffee with Mike. Yeah, more full-time workers visiting food banks. Visiting food banks to drop off food or to pick up food? USA housing permits up. Permits up in the U.S. right now for housing permits for people to build. And that's more in the central and eastern United States. Nothing in the West. The West is... It's gone. Anything all the way from San Diego all the way north to Vancouver, BC, Canada, up to Whistler. You're done. You're bought out. Gold and silver breaking away, and we're going to have our gold and silver specialist on the second hour. Mario, who's going to basically discuss. I'm going to ask him a few questions about gold. I even wrote down some questions on my phone here to ask him. U.S. online sales have taken over retail sales, and 10-year comparison on what costs more. There it is, guys. You're biking tonight. Sorry, guys, for yawning. Wow, it is late at night. A lot of people watching this in early morning. So, let's get over to a bit of news now on what's actually happening. I got a really big story here. And there's a big story here I'm going to bring up in a bit. And this is the changing of the times. And this is the big changing of the times. And this is what's going to happen, you know. We got Paul S. in the house. First time live from Toronto. Welcome. Yep, people rolling into the chat. Hopefully we can get up to 800 people watching tonight. Lord, what is the conspiracy about small drones monitoring Denver at night? Yeah, I got to get him on the show about that. We got Galaxy News Radio in the house. All right. So here we go over a little Maddow meltdown. And the reason why I want to bring up this article here, Maddow meltdown in defense to OAN lawsuit. Host argues her words are not facts. Yes, these people like on The View and these type of shows, they're living in a different financial lens than the average American. The average American, the average Canadian are living in a different financial lens than these people are. And these people think they know because they get paid to know. But a lot of these people, in my opinion, don't live in the financial strains that a lot of people are living in today. So they don't know what really is going on. Again, stabbing at a Hanukkah celebration in New York, 5 injured. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. That, 2,000 years, 3,000, 4,000 years, we're still battling over religion? Or battling it's disgusting. These are the 10 worst states for millennials, guys. So let's take a look at these. I've been to most of these cities. Okay, first, I guess it's not the first. I don't know. It's the first on the list. Oh, okay. It breaks it down here a little bit better for us to actually take a look at here. Okay, so let's start here. So, number one, brings us to number one. Heck, why don't we bring us down right to the bottom here and go to the number... Okay. Oh, it doesn't break it down, so I don't know what number it's at. So let's start with number one. Washington, D.C., District of Columbia, is one of the worst places to live if you're young, guys. So stay away from that place. Unemployment, 6%. Home ownership, 18.30. What? 18% of people own their own... What? Home ownership, 18%. Poverty rate, 25%. Student loan debt, 60 large. A city known for its ridiculous housing prices, 1 in 4 millennials in our nation's capital live in poverty. They also have the highest average student loan debt in the nation. Wow. Unemployment, 8%. Well, where's this? Hold on. Georgia. This is the state of Georgia? The whole state? 8%. Home ownership, 31.61%. Poverty rate, 20%. Student loan debt, 37,284. Though housing relatively affordable in Georgia, the student loan debt burden is much lower than Washington, D.C. Roughly 1 in 5 millennial Georgians live in poverty, which is enough to secure a second spot on this list. And we have New York. Unemployment, 7%. Home ownership, 24%. Poverty rate, 19%. Student loan debt, $38,734. Low home ownership rates coupled with brutally high rates make New York a no-brainer for the number 3 spot. Millennials also face high poverty rates and burdensome student loan debt. We got Florida. Unemployment, 7%. Home ownership, 29%. Poverty rate, 19%. Student loan debt, $35,000. North Carolina, unemployment, 7%. Home ownership, 32%. Poverty rate, 20%. Student loan debt, $36,000. California knows how to party. Unemployment, 7%. Home ownership, 23%. Poverty rate, 17%. Student loan debt, $34,000. South Carolina, it's always the places that got the best weather that suffer with the worst economic breakdowns, right? Yeah, we got a New Year's special tonight, yeah. So South Carolina, unemployment 7%, home ownership 36%, poverty rate 22%. Alabama, unemployment 8%, home ownership 37%, poverty rate 23%, student loan debt $34,000. Louisiana, home ownership 37%, unemployment 8%, poverty rate 26%, student loan debt $33,000. Old Miss, Mississippi. But you know what, guys? I'll it's always the places with the best weather suffer the worst. Except, well, Washington, D.C. doesn't have great weather. It's horrible. But District of Columbia, I can't believe they're in that position they're in right now. Unemployment rates at 6%, home ownership at 18%. Who owns the rest of it? China? Don't laugh. It might be true. So we got... Paul saying in the comments, those later states are hit by a lot of hurricanes. I suspect home insurance taken out. Well, I lived in Florida for 5 years and 5 years, 6 months and something like that. It wasn't. It was very infrastructural. Lots of infrastructure, bridges everywhere, highways, beautiful palm trees everywhere, beautiful vistas, flowers everywhere. I had probably the best 5 years of my life. My younger years. Someone's asking about Connecticut there. We got Mr. Peabody in the comment section. Mr. Peabody is actually somebody I know personally. Is somebody I actually know for years. Personally. All right. So let's go back here. Danger ahead. Advice from former militia leader. The government is much more sophisticated in keeping an eye on citizens, and there are thousands more armed government agents. You have to assume that everything you do or say is being monitored by Big Brother. Okay, nobody cares about those people. These people here. Wealth of the richest surged by 1.2 trillion in 2019. It's like the more they make, it's like the more invisible these people come, and I don't care about. I don't care. Experts warn global outrage levels may reach a point of no return in 2020. If we don't cut out our anger emissions immediately, the world will be consumed by fiery outrage by the end of next year. I told you guys, global outrage levels out of control, and people, the hate people have on with each other, we just keep basically our hate meters on all the time, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Let me see if I can get the Raven first on the show. I need to ask him a bunch of questions, and I want to have him answered immediately. So hopefully he'll pick up. Oh my God, it's the Raven, and he's got hair. Raven, you got hair, buddy.
Yeah, you haven't called me in so long. I grew it out.
No. I'll tell you. I did call you. I did call you many times. You could even ask the people in the comments. I have called you many times. So I'm going to put you on the show here live so people can see your beautiful hair. See, is that a toupee?
What?
Is that a toupee?
Dare you?
See, mine is stuck to my head. I go swimming with it.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I go swimming with it. I take a shower. It stays for 6 weeks.
Oh, okay. No, yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
Woo! The world without hair. The Raven looks good. I hope everyone in the comments can see that and comment on his... He looks good. You know, this is a Big Brother move we're doing. We're trying to kind of semi-disguise ourselves. So the what do you call it when those scanners that scan us?
Facial recognition.
Facial recognition essay.
Yeah. That's exactly what it's for.
Yeah.
They'll never know who I am.
No, especially with that. Yeah, that hair looks good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what you saw? I guess you saw my show and you said I gotta get a hair. Huh?
Yeah, I saw your show. Yeah.
But does it look bad or does it look like?
No, it's okay.
No, if you see it in person, someone that watches my show came to the store today to talk to me that was passing through. They were on their way to Alberta. And they told me, they go, you know what, Mike? In person, actually, it even looks better. It looks like when you look into the hairline here.
You know, just do whatever you want to do, Mike. Don't worry about other people.
Well, you know what, Raven? Look, my jacket's fake. My shirt's fake. My pants are fake.
Hey,
everything
I have the same
fake.
jacket. I have the same jacket you have, that brown one with the white stripes. I have that same jacket. I wanted to mention that. Yeah, in morning coffee, you wear it all the time there, that brown one.
Oh, that Wolverine jacket.
Yeah, I have that jacket. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I like that jacket, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hit you with a headline that you haven't seen yet. And I'm gonna want your opinion on this. I'm gonna open it right now so people could see the headline, because they're gonna think I'm making this up, because I'm not making this up, because it's about gold, but it's actually a big deal. And this was posted 11 minutes ago. Are you ready? And I got this article just for you.
Okay.
Germans rush to buy gold as draft bill threatens to restrict purchases.
Okay.
They're going to stop Germans from buying gold.
What, the German people?
Yep.
Can they do that?
They are.
I guess they can. Well, yeah, but are you going to, look here. I bought this the other day. Do they know I bought this the other day? No.
Oh my God, that's Run DMC.
It's a rope.
Yeah, it's a Run DMC rope.
Yeah, it's a rope chain.
Okay, my question to you. Okay, now, is this the sign of times? Reports have emerged of depicting long lines in front of physical gold sales location in Germany in view of pending legislation which will announce, again, lower the anonymous purchase limit, this time from 10,000 euros to 2,000 euros. The last drop happened in 2017 when the limit was set at 15,000 euros. A draft bill from a German finance ministry is being pointed at the reason for the change, which is scheduled to take effect from January 10th, 2020. This is a very big deal.
Yeah, well, Goldman Sachs says gold's going to go up 9% in 2020.
They're forecasting it to hit, was it 1,600?
Yeah, just think the opposite, eh? They're not forecasting gold to go up. They're forecasting their dollar to go down. So rising gold price exposes a worthless currency, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to take a lot more of that junk to buy gold. So that's all I buy now, Mike, is gold and silver. That's all I'm buying. I went full force. That's all I buy now. Because the writing's on the wall. So I think people should be buying it.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
So all the forecasts we're seeing, gold and silver has reached its 7 weeks later, it's reaching a new high. Silver starting to break the 18-point mark. We're seeing gold.
The impeachment. I think it was the impeachment pushed it up a little bit. Yeah.
And we're having that problem with these negotiations, with this tariff wars and trade wars. Why didn't we have this trade war 20 years ago? Why are we doing this now?
We're doing it now because the fiat monetary system wasn't where it was 20 years ago. We still had lots of room to run with it. So we're having it now so that Trump can smother the entire world economy and bring us in right on time to flip us over to the reset and the digital currencies. This is all by design. And that's not a conspiracy theory. It's by design. You can see it. You think Trump's smart enough to do this whole trade war on his own, to bring the whole world to its knees? No. They're smothering the whole world with this trade war. All the countries, look at India, their economy is like going in the toilet. The whole world is going in the toilet, getting it ready, weaken it before you stick the knife in the heart and flip us and kill this whole system and bring us in digital. Look at Bahamas went digital yesterday.
Yep. You
know,
somebody actually messaged me from the Grand Bahamas, from I think Hamilton. They messaged me like at 2 a.m. to tell me that they went fully digital.
Yeah, it'll go slow at first and then all at once. And it'll just go right across, and it's going to be all digital. And there'll be some, it's a whole new system, so there's going to be some hiccups all over the place. But they're doing it in China first because of the American Constitution. The people would see it too much as a threat, but if they do it first in China, then they'll see it as China's a threat. We have to do it. They're smart. Those Rothschilds are not idiots. Those guys play they pick their countries, and they're going to be successful. This is going to go through, and it's going to be very successful for them.
That's basically the big chessboard.
Yeah.
The grand scale chessboard of putting countries against countries, arming both sides with the same manufacturer. And
that China, Russia, Iran, their war, they're doing their war tests there. That's all. I believe that's all just bull. I believe the U.S. and China are in bed. They've always been in bed together. They're just showing, get some fear going, get everyone scared. Oh yeah, they'll protect. If they don't get that going, we're going to start really looking at this whole system and going, hey man, what's going on? The they can only confuse and distract people for so long. People were starting to look at this whole system. We got to throw some fear in there. Oh, look, China is doing war against Russia and Iran. That's the enemy, I guess. So I hope our government saves us. I hope they protect us, instead of us looking at. I think that's all bogus. That they use that for fear, to control us through fear. That's all that is. Those war games and all that. Yeah, they're all in the same. They're all on the same team. all those countries. I believe that anyway. You can believe what you want.
We got Steve Stevens in the comments asking a really good question. Bahamas went digital. How will that affect the tourism? Their economy is dependent on tourism. That's very true.
I think it would probably affect the people that work there, the waitresses, the cash business. How's that affect them? You know, those people are going to suffer.
It's going to affect them with it because they have a very strong underground dark economy. And that underground economy is very big when it comes to buying produce and vegetables. When I went to Bahamas, a lot of people were using American dollars, and they'd buy produce, vegetables. They buy a whole bushel of corn and all this stuff for like $2, right?
Yeah. Well, everybody's getting paid under the table. A lot of people are getting their tips under the table. And what do you do now? Right. Like, I just don't. There's going to be a lot of people that are. Well, at least the government will make more money because they're always broke.
Well, they're always broke, and they're never gonna like our country, guys. People watching this in the Commonwealth, our country, our government said that the our what do you call our budget will budget itself.
Yeah, and Trudeau say that.
Yeah, our economy, our books will budget themselves or work themselves out. What is that supposed to mean?
Inflate the currency away, inflate the debt away. That's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing. Yeah, pay it
they
back
always said they
$2
would
trillion.
do that.
Yeah. So we got Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister of Australia, in the House, saying the government wants to tax transactions too.
You know what? They're going to go digital. We all see that coming. I believe that Bitcoin, all that, they're going to force it all out. They're going to get rid of that. We got them used to digital, so now make all that illegal. Central banks will own it. I said this 6 months ago. They're going to attach an interest rate onto those digital coins somehow. They're going to attach some kind of interest rate, some kind of time-sensitive interest rate that you can't just hold them. You got to keep moving them, and they're going to want their money. And you can bet that they've got some way that they've figured it out that they're going to squeeze you for some money off that. Maybe it's negative. Maybe it's just negative rates or something, but they're going to figure out a way to attach something to those digital currencies. But imagine how valuable silver will be if you can deal outside of their world, you know, on black market currencies. Well, I would love to buy something from you and use an ounce of silver. I hand it to you, you hand me something, and then nobody knows that transaction. You're outside the whole system. That, I think, will probably be a very illegal thing to do in the future.
You think
I could see that. Yeah, I think that'll be punishable by jail and very hefty fines if you get caught doing that.
But that's the world. But doesn't legal tender exist because only me and you have faith in the transaction of its value?
You know, that American Constitution coinage is their money. There no other form of money is supposed to be printed. If you look at their Constitution, what they've done is illegal with those federal notes. That's illegal against the Constitution. And that Senate, they sold out they sold out the American people when they did that. Only gold and silver is supposed to be money. That's in their Constitution. So what can you do? You know,
but so do you foresee? So okay, I see the whole digital thing coming. I see it. I see it in a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Do you see it becoming universal, or do you see it becoming every country has its own digital? How do you see this? Do you see them unifying a dollar?
I believe all the central banks are going to deal in. It'd probably be. I don't know. It'll probably be a few big ones, like the yuan's going digital early 2020. And they're at the same time pretty much banning Bitcoin out of their country. You can see what's happening. The writing's on the wall.
One in 5 bills on the planet are yuan.
Yeah, they only hold, I think, 4% of the SDR basket. They're small. They only recently came into the SDR, but they're getting big, Mike. Those guys are getting big. They're growing fast. They do have a lot of problems, though. Like I think they got big problems there, but they're growing fast. And I think their share of the game is going to grow with them. It's going to keep growing, and certain other people are going to fall out of their share. Like Japan is going to. I think Japan is going to lose some more of their share, and Europe. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Europe, but I think China's share is going to grow, and they'll probably use 4 or 5 currencies for digital, and it's going to be all central banks. You're not going to be able to buy private cryptos. I believe private cryptos are going to be a threat to the monetary system. They're spinning it now. You read article after article. They're spinning it. Russia just said the other day they're willing to ban.
Tilt your camera down, Raven. Tilt your camera down just a bit
Oh,
because I'm
sorry.
getting too much of your ceiling. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah. Continue. China said, yeah.
Yeah, no, I believe they're going to ban cryptos. I see the writing on the wall. You start reading all those articles about all those different countries, how India's floating the idea of banning them, Russia's floating the idea of banning them, China's already banning them, Trump's saying that Bitcoin is bad, and then the Queen comes out and says, cryptocurrencies are not money. Great way to save face, eh? That's all bull. That's all bull.
Did you say that with a straight face?
She said that cryptocurrencies, she doesn't back cryptos. She says they're not money, blah, blah, blah. You know what? It's all double-faced, two-faced speak. Like it's bull. It's all bull. Read between the lines of what these people are doing. You know, I see their game. It's the writing's on the wall for cryptos. I have a hard wallet. I thought cryptos were great. Like cryptos, I was going to buy EOS. I was looking at some Bitcoin, Ethereum. I love cryptos, but the writing's on the wall, man. I have a hard wallet. I give nothing on it. I've had it for a year. I'm looking at it, and they're smothering cryptos. They're bringing out their central bank stuff. They're not going to let, give me the money of a nation. I care not who's in power. They're not going to give power to the nerds sitting behind their computers with hard wallets. Central banks are going to keep running the show. They're not going to just all give it up. Oh, here, everybody with cryptos got duped. Mm-hmm. They're getting duped. And everybody bought those cryptos thinking, oh, I'll decentralize away from the banks. No, you just played with the drugs for free, and now it's time to give them back, and you're going to have to use their drugs. That's it. They got you hooked on them. Now you're going to play with theirs. That's it. That's all I think is happening. Might take a few years.
So I know. Okay, let me throw something out there off topic. You know who you look like?
I don't know who.
I'm kind of surprised that I'm kind of surprised and flattered that I've motivated you to go out and get a toupee.
Hey, I just grew my hair. Look, I can't pull this off.
Let me see the hairline here.
No, I have no hairline. You know what? At the end of the call, I will do a time lapse of what it's like to go bald with this wig. I'll show you.
Okay, I wanted to... Oh, yeah, you know who you look like? You look like the guy. I'll tell you who. I'm going to look it up right here next to you. Let me go to images. Right there, the guy from Toto Africa. From that show. There he is, right there. You look a lot like him. The hair, the beard.
The guy from where?
Here he is, here, from the side. Toto Africa. The way he has his hair in the video and everything.
Yeah.
It's right here. It looks like, guys in the comments, agree with me or disagree with me. Does he look like this guy from Toto from Africa? The music song Africa.
Couldn't you pick the cooler band?
No, but this
Toto.
No, they got the song Love Isn't Always on Time. They have Rosanna, yeah. They have a lot of good songs.
They have that Africa song too.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. The song Rains Down in Africa. That's it. You look like him a lot in yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, Supreme Canon is saying solid X or possibly liability. I don't know. They're just having a conversation in there. And someone says true that you look like him. Someone says you look like Sonny Bono.
Sonny Bono.
And then someone says you look like Jan Arden.
Jan Arden? That's good.
I saw her in concert like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like long time ago. Okay,
You know what I do?
Tell me.
You know what I do with this wig? We're hiring so many new people, that when I go to work with the conductor, we play a little joke on the trainee. I tell the conductor to, tell him you're working with a crazy guy that wears a wig. And whatever you do, don't look at it. Don't say anything. Just, just sit there because this guy's a little bit nuts. And he got fired a couple of years ago because some guy bugged him about his wig and he punched him. And whatever you do, don't look at him and don't say anything about his hair. And then we go on the engine and that kid sits like in the middle chair, like 4 or 5 feet away from me. And I just turn and look at him and I go, so where did you work before? And he goes, I drove a forklift. And I yell at him, what are you looking at? What are you looking at?
Dude, you gotta get one of those clip-on. You know what? I have a clip-on camera in my over there in storage. One I bought, I never used it. It takes a micro SD. You could pin it on your shirt, and you can.
Yeah, I know.
And maybe you could get some of this footage of this of with at work.
Yeah.
There. So okay, listen. I wanted to bring something up actually about the train, the company you work for. They actually raised a lot of food.
Yeah.
For Christmas, for shelters.
Yeah.
I saw that. I was so happy. I was so grateful. But then someone mentioned in the comments, this was a week ago when I made that video, they said, why is Canada so happy to have all this organization in their food banks? Why did they just stop sending money to other countries and feed their own people?
Yeah, well, that's an age-old question. All countries are, the U.S. is bad for that too. And look at how many food banks, you said, I watched your show earlier today, how many food banks are in England there? How many McDonald's? There's so many more food banks than McDonald's there.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I covered that. Hold on.
Yeah, I watched
Stop
that.
the press. Hold on. Stop the press. Cody Peabody, Mr. Peabody, a friend of mine, personal friend, sent me $50. Says, "Hey brother, I miss the chats we used to have. Shout out to your guest. He's well spoken and easy to listen to. I have a few issues with his assessment on silver and crypto, but I think his argument has some points. Call me anytime. Cheers." Yeah, I'll call you, buddy. Add me on Skype, Cody, Mike Martins, 1980. MikeMartins, 1980. Add me on Skype. I'm always on. And message me on. Cody messages me on Facebook, so I'm not too worried all the time.
So sometimes I don't get the whole point across. If I could sit in a room with people and talk to them, and then just shoot back and forth, sometimes I don't get everything I want to say out properly. Sometimes there's other points and I forget, and then later I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. But I like silver. I buy silver. I buy gold.
Yeah,
I buy silver.
This guy is actually a geologist in the mine.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. He's got some big news he wants to announce to me that what's going on somewhere somehow, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. He told me, publicly.
But I know you believe this too. You see everything going digital. Pretty much every.
Well,
I think most people in your room.
For them to go to negative rates to follow Europe and other countries, for banks to go into negative rate territory, they need to go digital so there's no runoff on confidence in the banking system.
They want to keep your wealth in the bank so that they can get it.
But if they don't go digital, people are just going to pull their cash out.
They can't have that. They wrote the bail-in laws. They don't want that. Right now, they're trying to go around the world. Look at France. They lowered it from 2,500 francs, I think, to 1,000 francs that you could take out of the bank. All around, it's getting harder and harder to access your cash. And remember, I told you before, that lady asked me, what are you doing with your money? She goes, well, I'm not giving it to you then if you don't tell me. I'm like, at what point can't I have the money that I earned and put in the bank? At what point is this lady working at this teller telling me that I can't have my money out of the bank? Then you can start to see. You start to realize this is happening. The hammer's coming down on this, and it's getting worse all around the city or all around the world. And I just see it. So they're going to go digital, and you're not going to be able to get your cash. They have the bail-in laws written in Australia, UK, in America, Canada. We have the bail-in laws. They didn't write those just to kill time. Those are going to be implemented at some point, because the government's not going to bail them out. They're not bailing the banks out the next time.
Right.
So it's going to be up to us. I think there's 14 trillion pension money in the States that they can tap. There's money all over that they want to get at. I for what though? To keep this thing going even further? Like, where does it end?
Well, you're going to start seeing multiple generations being left out of everything. And it's going to be like, give it another 10, 15 years, people will look back and say, back in the day, once upon a time, people used to own homes and people used to own their own cars. But now everybody rents everything. Unfortunately, ownership is out the window. We can't discuss ownership on an open level because we could go to jail.
Yeah. 2020 is up in the air. I don't think we get out of 2021. I don't like to pick dates. I don't think there's a happy time after 2021. I think that we're going to have some very big breakdowns in the next 2 years, in the next 24 months. 2020, who knows what Trump's going to do to juice the markets? He hasn't got too much powder left. Neither does the world. What's China going to do? They got nothing. Japan's got nothing. Europe's a basket case. So what's Trump? What kind of false prosperity? I heard something there.
Look what's happening in France.
The only thing they're guarding in that Fort Knox is secrets. That's all they've got. I heard that the other day. That's a good one. That's the only thing they got in there. There's nothing else but secrets in Fort Knox. And what are they going to do? How are they going to pump this up? What are they going to do to get them to the 2020 election? They can play with the trade war a little bit. Mm-hmm. They figured out how to stretch it. Go phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. But I think that's starting to get a little long in the tooth. The traders are starting to realize that that's kind of like a dead issue. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So,
okay, Q1 of 2020. What do you see happening economically? Like, I know quarters are really short in your time frame, but what do you see as a whole? Like, okay, I understand, but my question was, okay, let me go back to my original question. For the bank not to experience a mass runoff, they're going to have to go crypto. Because I understand that. They're going to have to go into cryptocurrency, but not the crypto that we know, the black market crypto, like Bitcoin and stuff. I'm talking about like the federalized crypto, right? And this will be easier because the government will save money. They don't have to load bank machines with cash. The banks don't have to waste money counting money and repackaging it. There's a lot of positives in a way, but there's a lot of negatives, obviously, and that's our basically losing our sovereignty once we lose our economic power when it comes to spending.
Our grandfathers, the ones who died in World War II and Normandy and all that, are rolling in their graves for the liberties that we're handing these people so easily. We're just giving them up. That's what I say about cryptos and going digital currency and letting these people do whatever they want. Those people fought for the freedoms that we have, and we're losing them every day right now. And it's going faster and faster. All these cameras they're putting up, our privacy laws, our currencies, our monetary system, they're squeezing us and trying to own us. And that's it's very troubling to think about that. And I don't have anyone in the military in my family, but I would hate to have like an uncle or a father or a grandfather that died for this, and just to sit here and be handing it over. People don't realize what they were fighting for, and we're so quick to give this up. That's it's a very troubling thing.
It is.
The first quarter of next year, I see China going digital, and Shenzhen, they're going to go digital, and the U.S. is going to roll that off. That we can't let them get the upper edge on us, and that's how they're going to play it. Because you couldn't start it off in America, not with a constitution. Everybody would stand up and say, hey. No. But if you put an enemy at the helm, then you got to stand up. They're not stupid people. You can see how they would do this. Small children could play games like this in schoolyards. It's the same thing. It's our psyche as humans. It's an easy playbook to read. When you really read about it and look at it, it's an easy playbook to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, Jelly Bean.
Yeah.
So how was your Christmas?
It was all right.
Yeah.
Hey, I got this shirt. Here, look at this. Hold on. Can you read that?
So woke, I can't go back to sheep. Woo!
That's a good one, eh?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, back to work. Work is okay. Everything's okay. Are the layoffs?
You know what? I should have been back to work tonight. Our traffic dropped off today, like a lot. So I'm going to see if that keeps going. I've been seeing a lot of empty intermodals going by, and just this last night when I looked at the board, it should have been 25 trains in the next 24 hours, and there was only 11. That's very slow. So I'll let you know. I'll keep you up on that.
Yard empty?
I think no, the yards are okay. We got hit with a rush of traffic there. It took a while, a couple of weeks after the strike ended. It took a while that a rush of traffic came, and we were all going pretty hard there for a while. It just seemed to drop off here, but it's sporadic. It comes, it goes. It all depends. There's a lot of grain to move. I brought in I brought in 16,000 tons of oil the other day. Lots of oil and lots of grain. The grain mostly is the thing we're behind on. So they're shipping as much grain as they can right now. Okay. So I'll keep you up on that though. Like if I see anything changing there, it seems like it dropped off. I know one thing though, is we have trainees. Like I'm training a guy right now. Last year, the year before, January, too busy to have trainees. This year, we have trainees. That's like an indicator there that we're a little slower. I notice we're slower. So,
could it be that you get trainees now because they don't want to unionize them and keep them?
No, they're thinking that we're gonna. If we don't have employees to move those trains, that costs them a lot of money. They're just being precautious. They've got too many, I think, now. I think in the summer next year is going to be hurtful. I think we're going to go down to about 5-6 years of layoffs. In 5-6 years seniority, I think we're going to hit in layoffs next year. There's a global slowdown. We're not going to stay that island out there by ourselves, you know. But we are weathering it pretty good in Canada. From what I'm looking at other countries in that, we're weathering it pretty good here. So, so you know what? I don't know if we're weathering it good or if our media is better at perception, at the lies. I think that maybe is what it is.
I got Red Pill Gary bringing up a good point here, saying everywhere was dead on Boxing Day, and I saw some crazy deals on TVs, and nobody was buying them, where in the past people would scoop them up right away. So Boxing Day, I'm not hearing anything from Boxing Day. Everyone I've spoken to about Boxing Day said it was lights out Irene, nothing happening.
I worked Christmas Day and Boxing Day.
It's okay, you missed nothing. Nothing was going on apparently, so you don't have to worry about it.
I had a Stouffer's chicken dinner from Safeway. They were on sale. That's what I had for Christmas dinner. Yeah, and a Coke. Mm-hmm. Yeah, welcome to the railway.
So Kaholki is saying, I used to talk to farmers. They got grain in soils for years.
In storage?
In silos. Sorry.
Silos. Yeah, silos. In storage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're moving tons of it, like train after train after train. We got those big elevators, eh? So we've got 2 really big elevators on my run that we fill 100 grain cars. Each time we go there, the 104 grain cars those guys get, and it's one after another for those. And you can see the semi-trailers, they're backed up unloading their grain. So it's it'll be a while before we're caught up on that.
So you don't feel too optimistic of the new year. You don't feel too...
I'm trying not to be gloom and doom all the time. What did I think? I think that people are going to come together like Greta Thunberg. People like that are going to try and make a difference. They're going to try and make the planet better. Okay, there you go. I know you like her.
So Solid Extra is saying Cyber Monday is bigger than Black Friday. Someone's asking if you drink. Raven's asking if you drink Crown Royal.
I have Crown Royal here. I don't drink though.
Okay, I'm not a big drinker myself. I drink maybe once a month, maybe.
I don't drink.
Yeah, maybe.
27 years.
Most of the time, I just good. So you have booze. I'll just drink your booze when I visit you.
Yeah, I you know what? I buy Mickeys. I bought a case, 24 Mickeys. I'm going to use them for barter.
Wow, so you're really setting up for this, eh?
You know what? I want to tell you something. I went to a flea market today, and I know those people there. I go there all the time, and I was talking, and this old guy said to me, he's about 65, and he looks at me and he goes, you know what? I'm going to go get my hunting license. He goes, I've got to get a gun. I don't like what I'm seeing on the news. I don't like the way the world's going. That guy said that to me, and I was like, holy crap. I've never expected that guy to say that to me. He goes, I'm starting to get worried. I'm going to get a gun. That's what he said to me. Like, wow.
Wow. I know it's not a laughing matter, but
No, it's not. Like, and that's something that I got to put on my calendar is like, I would like to do that sooner than later. Yeah. And ammo.
Yeah, we're gonna have to meet up sometime in person soon, like when the weather gets better. Maybe do a live show together, maybe on your lake, or maybe we do something on
Next summer.
Yeah.
You
I
use
think I might
Supreme?
pass through your. You know what? How far are you from the Winnipeg International Airport?
20-minute drive.
Okay, I might come and see you, and then I might take a flight to Toronto.
Yeah. I'm going to Dominican in 32 days.
Yes. Okay, are you going to Santo Domingo? Or
No,
Puerto Plata?
I might. No, I'm going to Punta Cana.
Oh, you're going way at the end of the island.
Yeah.
Punta Cana, like right at the tip. Sorry, the tip.
Yeah, somewhere's in there. Bavaro Beach.
Yeah, I was in Dominican for 6 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why. Why do you think I speak Spanish?
Why were you there?
It was in my early 20s, really early 20s, and I spent 6 months there. I wanted to just be part of the culture, understand, and and then when I was there was a huge, not a big outbreak, but there was a little bit of malaria going on and a couple other things. I drove over to Haiti and I drove right back across the border.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
No, we drove across.
I'm not going to Haiti.
We drove across. The guy goes, "All right, man. You're going to come back in like 2 minutes." I'm like, he's saying this in Spanish, right? I'm like, why? What's wrong with it? What's wrong with Go. I'll let you go through. Go in. We go through? Okay, turn the damn car around. Get out of here. It was that bad. There was like a kid in an undershirt, like a wife beater type shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, walking around with like a rifle.
Yeah, that's a long time ago, eh?
So I'm like, back to Santo Domingo,
They got old churches there, really old, 400-year-old buildings there. I wouldn't mind checking it out.
Yeah, go check it out. It's got a great history.
Their currency is like 1 to 43 to the Canadian dollar. So I looked up their average income is 3,000 to 6,000 pesos. So I figured it out at 4,500 pesos, which comes out to 108 Canadian a month. Yeah, 108 Canadian a month.
There was a doctor I knew there, really good doctor too, and he was one of the doctors that worked with the president. One doctor that's on call for the president of the country, and he was making like $1,100 US a year, $1,200 US a year.
Yeah, that's not a lot of money. No.
Yeah.
No.
So, yeah.
Anyway, you're having Maneco on?
Yeah, I'm gonna get him on. I'm gonna call him in about like 8 minutes. I'm gonna get him on the show because he's gonna wake up. It's almost 6 a.m. there in London. So,
yeah, I like his show.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I didn't know much. I didn't know about him until, what's his name? Lord Humongous told me about him, and then I subscribed to his channel. I started watching some of his videos. I'm like, oh, this guy's really cool.
Yeah, he's got the pillows on his couch.
Yeah, but the last video he didn't have that.
I've got pillows like him.
Let me see.
Hold on here. Let me see here. See that pillow?
Yeah.
Yeah, British.
Yeah. The Union Jack.
Yeah. I don't know if I get it in there. Yeah. I got pillows like him.
Nice.
Yeah. He's good, though. I like his show.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Easy to watch, that guy.
So someone's saying for you to go to Belize.
You know what? My friend just quit. He was working with me. He just quit his job, moved to Belize, and now he has he has a company there to sell pool supplies to people who have pools. He bought out a guy's company, so that's what he does. Him, his wife, his 2 kids, they're in Belize now selling pool supplies. Loves it there.
Yeah, a lot of people are getting out of the Great White North here. It's Canada is really taking a turn for the worse. I don't know where it's going to be. I don't know where things are headed, to be honest with you. The amount of professionals we're losing, and they're keeping a tight grip on that. They don't want no one to know that, that successful people don't want to live here anymore.
And that kid that wrote you that letter there, Reno Victed there, wrote you that on Facebook.
Yeah.
How people are not going to be able to afford the rent.
The guy's supposed
It's
to be
unbelievable.
the guy's like a tech worker, like a big time, and everyone says, "Oh, you got to get into the trades where the money is." Okay, you have the money, but now what?
I don't think the trade. I don't know where you should go now. I don't even come work with us. We're always hiring. It's good there.
No, if I had a choice, if I had to do it over, I'd probably get into like plumbing, heating, and ductwork or something like that.
You don't want to be a plumber, Mike. Deal with all that crap all day. No, I think maybe electrician or carpenter, but I don't know what a plumber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not great. No. Mm-hmm. I've done some plumbing. It can be very bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ryan Holder's got a good point there. He says, well, a bunch of people put Zoolander back in. You know who Zoolander is, right? Our
That's
chief,
me.
No, our chief and great leader.
Yeah, Zoolander.
Yeah. He does, he kind of with the hair, kind of, Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
economically clueless, that guy. That right from the start.
Yeah. But someone put Ryan on hold there for 300 seconds. I'm not sure. Everybody needs to calm down. I understand that everybody is really upset. I understand. There's a lot of people upset right now. And we need to all basically come together right now over me. I don't know if you remember that beer commercial, but we need to something needs to happen here, but we need to be smart about
Why
it
are they
because
upset?
they want us to lose our cool. You know that.
I don't think they really care. They're just going to do whatever they want. I don't think they want anything. They're just going to do what they want. And we're going to let them. So
yeah, I'm just trying to process. I'm processing what you're asking, what you're saying here.
And you know what? And even if you try and do something about it, Mike, then you're a problem to them.
Yeah.
What happens then? You become on a watch list, and we're probably being watched right now on your channel.
Yeah, but no one knows it's you. You got your hairpiece on and your beard, and
I don't care. I could care less. They can come. I don't. I really don't give a shit. I don't care. They can do whatever they want. I won't bow down to their crap. I will move away. I will go away. I don't like that digital currency. I don't like that. I'm going to be forced into that, and so will you, and everybody will be forced into that. And if they're not going to stop there. They're going to get high tech with that digital. They're not going to be using a plastic card, put it that way.
Hey, look, I bought a bunch of these. Friday. I keep buying them from the same guy that's unloading them. These are $5. Hold on your camera. $5 silver. It's 1 ounce of silver.
Yeah.
And it's the Mackenzie River dollar from 1989. 1 ounce of fine silver, 99.9.
I picked something up here too.
Did you get a gun?
I got a watch. No, I got a 110 pound Roddy beside me here. I don't want to step on him. Okay. No, I pick up whatever. I picked this up. See, I go to that flea market. I picked up sterling silver, right?
Right.
Whatever I can get. Sometimes it's sterling silver. Sometimes it's silver. Sometimes it's gold. Whatever I can get. I move whatever money into any kind of precious metal that I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not 100% sure that's the right way to go. I everything points to it, but they make the rules, and the rules change. That's what happens. I fear what they'll do with silver and gold in the future.
So they're renegotiating the rules as they go along, is what they're doing.
They got to win, man. They're gonna,
So they're moving the goalposts is what they're doing.
they always do. Yeah, they always do. When it doesn't work out for them, they'll make another law. That'll be it. They're gonna, you know what? The big money is not in gold and silver right now. The big money is in their markets and everything. That's where the big money is. That's where the real wealth is derived from. That's where they're going to stay. We're like contrarians going into this field, but they're in that one. But they do buy some of it. The rich do buy gold in that, as a hedge, and central banks around the world are buying it. You can see, when was the last time they did this? That was in 1969, 68. France was buying all the gold.
Mm-hmm.
France was buying too much gold. They were they were buying the gold. And it's happening again now. Now the central banks are buying the gold again. China, Russia, Turkey, they're buying the gold. Same as happened when they took us off the gold standard in 1971.
Yeah.
August 15th.
Richard Milhouse Nixon.
Yeah. And during an episode of Bonanza, he announced that.
Yeah.
So the most watched TV show at the time, eh? So if France and other countries were they were trading in the currency to get gold, too much of it started to dwindle down, just put an end to the gold window. The convertibility is over. But now these countries are buying gold just like back then. So what's going to happen? Do we reverse it and go back to a gold standard? I think that's what happens. At some point, some kind of digital gold-backed currency, we're going to go the reverse and back to it again. They're buying it for, it's weird. There's a lot to look at, and you got to almost go on common sense. There's no real answers sometimes for that stuff. You got to kind of just put your own answer in there. And that's where a lot of people don't agree sometimes.
Okay.
So.
All right. Dude, I'm going to let you go. I think it's 6 a.m. in London right now.
Yeah, that guy, I'm looking forward to seeing him on there.
I hope he's okay. I just hope he's awake. I hope he didn't sleep in. And we'll give him a call and see what's going on. I prepared a few questions for him to keep it on a very professional level. And yeah, we'll go from there. Anyways, Raven, thanks for your update. Let us know what's going on the ground there.
Okay.
And next time we speak, let's talk about what's happening with the cameras in your area.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
All right.
You take care. Have a good night. God bless you.
Okay. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay.
That is the Raven, my friends. The Raven. Someone's asking why the Ryan was put on timeout. Guys, don't put people on timeout. We all know who the fake accounts are, so don't put people on timeout unless it's a big deal or something. You know what I'm saying? So let's call our friend here, Mario. Oh my goodness.
Hi, Mike.
How are you, my brother? We got you live. So guys, here he is. Let me just open up your YouTube page here for everyone to see. Guys, get over Maneco64, get over and subscribe. I'll leave a link in the live comments. We got over 100 plus people watching live right now, Mike in the Night, and we got Maneco64. Let's grab his. I'm going to grab his right now. Throw this into the comment section. You guys go ahead, get over there and subscribe to his channel. The Raven is watching. A lot of people are watching because they are very excited to see him on Mike in the Night. Mario, ¿cómo está?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing fantastic. So I was talking today to Lord Humongous, and he told me that basically that you lived in Brazil.
Yeah, I was born in Brazil, and I grew up there up until the early 80s, and then I went to university in the States, and then in Switzerland, started working in Switzerland in the late 80s in a small private bank, and then I moved to London in 1992, and I've been here ever since.
Okay. You know, my first language is Portuguese.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's my first language.
Well, that's my mother tongue as well,
Yeah.
Portuguese.
We're gonna have to maybe sit back and drink some cachaça and talk about stuff, in Portuguese.
Yeah,
Okay.
cachaça. Yeah.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure and honor to have you on the show. You have a huge history and a huge background. I was filled in by a couple of your longtime viewers. You know the game. You understand. Now, I prepared actually a few questions for you, good sir, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I had this one today at work, and I kind of threw this down while I was just doing my thing for the day. And here it goes. The banking cartels for millennia now have been pulling a fast one on the general public. What's the difference now? Why aren't they allowing it to crash? Why aren't they allowing it to reset? And the second part of the question is, what's their end game?
Well, I think they've always allowed it to reset, and the reason we are more aware of it now is that people are more educated. I think back 100 or 200 years ago, only the insiders, in my opinion, and people who were fairly knowledgeable of the system knew it was happening. But nowadays, with the internet and all the information coming out, people know more about it. The end game, in my opinion, is that they want to continue to own everything and control everyone. So what they do is they lure people in with debt, and then they pump the asset prices up,
Right.
and then they pull the plug, and people can't keep financing these purchases with debt. So they have to liquidate their assets with at a price of pennies to the dollars, and then they just know that they're going to reinflate. So they buy it back again, then they start it all over again. And that's why I think there's so much wealth inequality is growing so much.
Right. I covered on trends in the housing market. I covered we had an article that blew everybody away. That in the comments, everybody that was watching, 8 million people living in the poverty, below poverty in London. 8 million. I couldn't believe that. And then we have more food banks than McDonald's in London.
Probably, yeah. And I saw an article recently that 1 in 52 people are homeless in London. And it's weird because the day after I went shopping with my wife to a supermarket, and we went to get a trolley to go in the shop, and there was a guy on the street. And I thought to my wife, well, he's one of those 1 in 52. So, yeah. And I've done videos recently about how in the US, the top 1% or the top 90%, they own 82% of all the equity and mutual fund assets. So it's getting more and more unequal. And it's one of the reasons why I've looked into this subject, because growing up in Brazil, it was even worse, Brazil. And we had a lot of inflation in Brazil and a lot of poverty and inequality. So when I moved here in 1992, it wasn't as bad. I think people were they lived more within their means. And then I noticed about 1997, just before the millennium, people are just borrowing more and spending more, and it's still going here in the UK.
My concern of the UK is one concern that I had about a year or 2 years ago, and I've been preaching about it, is the mass exodus of millennials leaving for Middle England because they can't afford to live in the bigger cities. Are the millennials completely bought out? Like here in my major city that I left was Vancouver. I left Vancouver because I'm not spending $2 million on a teardown. So, is London seeing this mass exodus effect? Like Dublin is also seeing this in Ireland, where people are moving to southeast Ireland to greener pastures because employers can't even hire people because they can't afford to pay the rent there. Is London seeing the same pattern?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I haven't looked into it. My daughter, for example, she finished university last year. She's still here with us, but her boyfriend finished 6 months ago, and he's got a job in Wales. It's not, how can I say, all set yet, but she wants to move to Wales because the standard of living there, the cost of living is a lot lower. So yeah, there are people moving to other parts of England where it's cheaper to live. Don't forget, a lot of them have student debt as well.
Right, right.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the show, we were talking about the top 10 worst states to live in the United States, and a lot of them are burdened with student loan debt also, and that's one contribution to that problem. We saw a lot of mass exodus happening in Sydney, where everyone moved to Hobart / Tasmania, and now the prices in Tasmania are going nuts. Are you seeing the surrounding areas of the London proper? Are you starting to see the surrounding areas starting to go up in price too, because of the exodus of people?
No, I don't think so. Not yet. Not yet. One thing though, I was playing golf like last year or the year before with this younger guy at my golf club, and I think he was 28, and he had a good job. And he said, well, my dad was saying that when he started working, he was on the same salary as I was, but house prices were a fourth of the value now. So that just goes to show you.
Okay. Now, I prepared there's another question here. I want to jump into the whole gold and silver because that's you know that really well. And where do you see gold and silver in Q1 and Q2 of 2020? Lots of economists are forecasting a $1,600 gold and a $30 to $35 silver. I still believe that silver and gold, and this is just my opinion, is severely undervalued because the amount of paper that's out there, gold certificates like Deutsche Bank hands out, like fiat currency to people when they buy their gold bars. Here's a certificate, cash this in or we'll mail it to you. People aren't getting mailed their gold. People aren't getting their gold. A lot of complaints with people not receiving their products that they bought for at a certain time for a certain price. And what's going to happen? Like what's happening with gold and silver in 2020? What do you see happening, Mario?
Well, seasonally, this period from mid-December to like February is a good one for silver and gold as well. So I see them continuing to go higher in U.S. dollars in the next month or two. Difficult to predict the price, but I would say looking at the technicals, gold looks like it could go up to 1,800 next year. Next year, yeah, not in the first quarter, but sometime next
quarter,
year.
Tail end of 2020.
Yeah, or even in the middle, because if you look at the charts, we went from just below 1,300 almost straight up to 1,550, and now we consolidated since September.
Yes, we did.
We've just broken out, and if you just extrapolate that move, it's around 1,800 the next move up, and yeah, it could be quite quick, the move. Silver has been outperforming the last few trading days. Silver, the next hurdle is like around 2150. Could get up to 30 and even more. You never know. Gold, silver's moves very differently than gold, up or down.
Yeah, it's one of those. I see it more as a very oppressed commodity on the markets. They kind of want to keep it on the back burner, in my opinion. They kind of don't want to talk about it as much when you go on those big sites. No. They want to just gold, silver. No. You go to the back. We don't need you up front. We want to start. Look at this company. Look at this venture. Put your money into this, and they're not looking at the real intrinsic value. And that's. I personally, Mario, in my opinion, I'm heavily invested in silver miners, like lots of silver miners here in Canada, parts of the U.S., some mines in Nevada, even some in Africa, and gold mines too. Not too many gold mines, but a couple of good gold mines. But I'm heavily invested in the game. I see it. I always buy it on the down. And people are like, "Why are you buying more, Mike?" I'm like, "It's going down. down. You buy it when it goes down. You should be
Yeah.
selling. I'm like, no, you buy it when it's blood on the streets.
That's right.
Oh, I
Most
see you better
people.
now. I don't know if you
Oh,
closed the
good.
window there. Yeah,
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
yeah.
Is that better now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tá mais
Sorry.
melhor. Tá muito mais
Okay.
melhor. É gosto. Okay. We got here now. We got now. There's this. I don't know if you've been following what's been happening in Australia. They're eliminating the cash ban. Okay, they want to do a $10,000 cash limit, and then they want to bring it down to $2,000, a cash limit, like where you could withdraw or deposit, or like, and you won't be asked questions. Now they're looking at completely eliminating cash and going into cryptocurrency. Now, like a federalized cryptocurrency. My question, Mario, to you is, do you think they want to put this into place to protect the banks from a runoff, because people will lose interest or faith in their banks, especially if you've seen what Westpac's been doing the last couple of quarters and what they've been caught doing. I think it was 16 million. They were caught with 16 million transactions of money law or fraud. 16 million transactions with Westpac. Now, my question to you is, are they going to eliminate paper money so they could protect the banks from a runoff? If they go negative, because Australia's at 1%.
Yeah, that is possible because if you eliminate cash, people can't take the money out of the bank. They keep it, even if they change banks, it stays in the system. I guess the only way to get out would be to buy physical gold and silver. That might even help gold and silver because prior to eliminating cash, people could at least take the cash out. So,
like we saw in Greece, and we saw that happen in Greece quite a bit. And Cyprus got a huge hit on a runoff on no confidence in the banking system.
Yeah, well, Cyprus, that was a bail-in, wasn't it? It was the first time there was a bail-in. A lot of people that had over the amount of cash that was insured over, they lost all of it. I think it was 100,000 euros, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of big companies that keep a lot of cash, people forget that. Not big companies, but relatively small companies, they need a lot of cash to operate. They were completely wiped out. So if you had €1 million for operations and you lost 900,000.
That's huge.
Yeah, because they insured 100, and then after that, I don't know how much they took. Maybe it was 50% or a haircut or 80.
That's
so
huge.
It's I mean, I haven't followed too closely the situation in Australia. I do know the housing market there is quite bubbly.
It's huge.
But,
it's huge. I've been covering the housing market, on trends in the housing market. I've been covering the entire Commonwealth because all I see is the same patterns right across the Commonwealth. The same patterns, the same unaffordability issues. The Australian, the UK, the Canadian proper bought out of their own markets. People born and raised in their own countries can't afford to buy, and they have the jobs to back them, but they still can't get into the...
Well, yeah, it's because the reason why this is happening, and I could see it in 2008, is because we had the housing bubble then. It was going to collapse. Well, it kind of collapsed, and they saved it. They threw everything back at it. The only way to save it was to keep the mortgage-backed securities whole, so the banks wouldn't fail, and to cut interest rates so people wouldn't lose their homes. I know a lot of people did, but all it's done, it's kept asset prices high, and especially housing. While wages haven't followed, cost of living has gone up. They tell us that low inflation is a problem. That's just a sham, in my opinion.
It is a sham.
Yeah, I was looking at the Canadian numbers before I came on. You're supposed to have 2.2 CPI. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's a lot higher, just like anywhere else. They tell us here in the UK that it's 2%, but every year, a lot of things that you need, like food and shelter and heating and utilities, they keep going up by like 5-10%.
Also, food. We had a Mike in the Night show 3 weeks ago, and we were talking about food. And I had call-ins from all over the Commonwealth saying the price of food is going nuts. It's rallying. Food is rallying in price.
Yeah, and you also get, when you go to the shop, you notice the packaging is a lot smaller.
Yeah, they cut back on your
and
chips. They cut back on
yeah.
your apples. They cut back on everything.
Yeah, I saw a few weeks ago a can of baked beans, Heinz,
Okay.
and it was half the size, but the price was like 69p, and the price for the big can is 89. So I did the calculation. You're paying 50% more for the baked bean you're buying. I know it's just a can of baked bean, but it's just an example.
But it adds up in the end. You know that.
Yeah, and the other thing, they keep talking about that they're lowering taxes and regulations, but they're not. In the UK, you're still paying 20% VAT.
Yeah.
I took my car, my wife took our car for a service a few weeks ago, and it needed a lot of work, and we had to pay for it. And you look at the bill, and the government takes 20% VAT.
20 points. I don't even think the mafia takes 20 points.
No,
Loan sharks. I don't think they pull 20 points. Wow.
Yeah, I think I trust the mafia more than government. I would.
At least the mafia looks better dressed and they look more presentable.
Yeah, and they actually look after you, I think, if you don't, stab them in the back.
Yeah. Okay, I got Livil from Iceland. Just sent me a message from Reykjavik saying, Mike, ask your guest about the repo market. Is it just a fancy form of QE?
Well, the repo market is basically where banks, hedge funds, mutual funds, all the big players in the financial markets, it's where they borrow money from each other overnight, usually. And they use assets that they have that they don't want to sell.
Right.
So they're being greedy already in the repo market. It's called the repurchase market. So if I have $10 million in U.S. Treasuries, but I want to buy 10 million worth of gold futures, and I don't want to sell the Treasuries, I'll just tell JP Morgan, can you lend me 10 million for a day? And I'll give you my treasuries as collateral.
Right.
And they say, yeah, I'll lend it to you at 2%. And that's fine. And that's what they keep doing. They keep rolling it every day so they don't have to sell out their treasuries. But what happened in September in this market is that people wouldn't lend to each other in this market.
Banks don't trust each other. Banks never trust each other.
Nor the other counterparties like hedge funds or that were involved in this repo market. So the rate went up to 10%. And that was because this is the way the system operates, through leverage. People keep borrowing short, which means overnight or 1 week, and then buying assets to speculate. And this was going to bring everything down. So what the Fed did is they said, don't worry, we're going to provide the money for the repo market, and rates will come back down. And that's different from QE. And then they started QE as well, which is separate, which is the Fed just going into the bond market, which is different than the repo market, and buying short-term treasuries, T-bills. And they're doing now 60 billion every month. So yes, they're providing the I think it's 200 billion for the repo every day or every week or two. They got term repos as well. And they're also providing the 60 billion in QE. So it's kind of a QE, yeah, but it's not. So, but they also have got the QE, so it's crazy. Their balance sheet has increased by 400 billion since the end of August. The Fed.
Well, the thing is with me, and I asked this to another guest on the show, uneducated economist was on the show from Portland, Oregon, and I asked him, how are they varying the risk on the capital assets being analyzed? Is there like an underwriter sitting there looking at what's being collateralized? You know, if it's not bonds, because I heard if it's not bonds, what are they collateralizing on? What are they going off?
In the repo market, you
Yeah.
mean? Well, yeah, it's usually treasuries, U.S. treasuries, and
Okay.
mortgage-backed securities. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you call a primary dealer, they're the ones who do the repo, and you can find the list of the primary dealers in the New York Fed website. So if you call J.P. Morgan and say, I want to borrow overnight, and I've got Tesla bonds, they won't take that. They will take treasuries or mortgage-backed securities.
Okay. The reason why I asked is because when you go down the ladder a bit, you're going to start to see a lot of flaws, right? Because now we're seeing the repo strains in the market, and I understand what you said, how it's creating this flexibility on the balance sheets for the banks, but I just think there's a lot of like crumminess or monkey business going on the lower levels, that a lot of the upper echelons that are taking care of this, that are like, I think there's a lot of money being moved around into other parts that people don't know. I don't know. I just don't. I don't feel right about it. I feel there's something wrong about.
Yeah, and the other thing is, there's, aside from the repo market, a lot of this money, let's say that they borrow in the repo market, they take it and buy derivatives, over-the-counter derivatives,
Yeah.
and that's even leverage again.
Again.
And derivatives are kept off balance sheet, so it's very opaque, and a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
And then the derivatives, you can bet on the derivatives, which is like the CDOs,
Yes.
or it's crazy.
It's almost like robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, it's a casino. It's worse than a casino. In a casino, at least there is some limit to how much people can bet.
That's correct. Now, Mario, let me ask you something. All this, our banking system is becoming more and more deregulated. We removed the Glass-Steagall Act. We removed all these different regulations that were put in place to protect the day-to-day average Joe Donuts that doesn't have any like kind of awareness on what's happening with with the banks and the banking systems and the federal and then the reserves and all that stuff. He doesn't care. He just wants to eat his donuts and go work every day. And these regulations were put into place. Now they're deregulating. What's going to happen in 2020 when they start removing whatever's left of basically keeping these casino players, the banks, keeping it in line, or keeping it from them losing our shirts?
Well, yeah, Glass-Steagall was repealed in 1999, and it allowed investment banks or commercial banks to get involved in investment banking. So it was the first time, I think, since 1933 in the U.S. They did the same thing here in the U.K. at the same time.
Yep.
They allowed the big commercial banks to get involved in investment banking. And then after the '08 crisis, they supposedly cleaned things up and reformed with I forgot the name of the regulation in the States. You might remember Frank Dodd, and then the Volcker rule. But those were really not that serious. And I think the Volcker rule has been diluted. I'm not sure how it works in Canada, but nothing has been fixed. So we're still vulnerable to to the banking system. I've got a book here written by the former governor of the Bank of England, Mervyn King. He was in charge during the crisis. And one of his options he writes in the book is to go back to a system where you even have 100% reserve banking.
Right.
And that the commercial banks would be separate, and they'd have 100% reserve banking, no fractional reserve. Right. That's Mervyn King saying. And then for investment and speculation, you'd have different banks, investment banking.
Right.
So yeah, if the former governor of the Bank of England is saying that, it means they haven't fixed it.
It's the deregulation, and now the problem is the people that haven't jumped on to the know of what's kind of happening around them. They always think that they're being protected by their government or their bank's looking after them, and they don't really know what's going on. So let's move on here real quick. I wanted to ask you this because you are in London, and I wanted to ask you, Brexit. I mean, they're dragging their feet with this. It's a ring around the rosy. Why is England still part of the EU? What is happening? Didn't the Nigel Farage create this huge separatist movement? Shouldn't England be on its own right now?
Yeah, the UK. Yeah.
The United Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Brexit, I mean, the referendum was in June 2016. So, yeah, it has dragged on. David Cameron, who called for the referendum, he resigned right away because they didn't see it coming.
Right.
So he left the mess for his successor, who was Theresa May. She was a Remainer, and I think they put her there on purpose to delay it and to dilute it. And she did a good job, apparently, in my opinion. Some people say that she did a horrible job, but she did what she was supposed to do: make people sick and tired of it, delay it, and then they got Boris Johnson.
Right.
He said last year, before October 31st, which was the deadline at the time, that he'd rather be found dead in a ditch than not leave on October 31st. And we're still here. Now the deadline is January 31st, 2020. Nigel Farage, he doesn't have that much power because he's not an MP. And his Brexit party, they didn't. He withdrew a lot of candidates in the general election from the seats.
Right.
That would have hurt the Conservatives. So he doesn't have much say. He's like he started the movement. He's been talking about leaving the EU for many years, but he doesn't really have that much power himself. So people now believe that Boris Johnson is the real deal. I don't. I don't trust any politician. I think he's establishment.
Yeah.
And,
everyone at that level is as part of some sort of. They're connected somewhere somehow. And,
Yeah. If he had left, they made it very hard though. But because Theresa May even said once, I'd rather leave without a deal than leave with a bad deal. And now I think we're going to see a deal, and I don't know. It's been very, very volatile, the situation.
Okay. We got Marco Santos from Oporto, Portugal, saying, Mike, great guest. My two favorite YouTube channels in one place. And then we have Shanghai Larry. Shanghai Larry is my insider in China. I have one insider that calls onto the show from Hong Kong that actually walks the streets and tells us what's going on with the bank runoffs and the damage that's happening in Hong Kong. And I got another one, Shanghai Larry, who's in mainland China, but he cannot call the show because there's no way to call outside of China. So when he does contact me, he goes to Macau, to Portuguese China. And from Macau, he's allowed to use the internet to message me. So he's basically telling me, say, tell your guest, Mario, that people buying gold over spot in China now, and gold bullion dealers, no gold in stock, closing early, and China government giving people or telling people buy more gold.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. China has, for many years, encouraged the people there to accumulate gold.
Yeah, because people are buying over spot, according to him. Last message he sent me was 20 to 30% over spot they're paying for gold.
Yeah, that's quite high.
Yeah.
I remember in 2008 when gold dropped from like 1,000 to 700. That was an artificial paper drop, and you couldn't get gold unless you paid 10 or 15 over spot percent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, China's different. I think it's because they're creating this, this whole madness thing where, oh no, you got to buy gold now. Come on, we're going to drop the US, or you never know, right? Because China itself, the government has been buying gold since 2010, but they've been buying huge numbers of gold, huge record numbers of gold. And they've been pillaging Africa and other countries for resources. And I don't know. I see them backing a crypto yuan, maybe. A crypto gold back yuan, maybe. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Well, Yeah, I don't know either if they will have a crypto backed yuan backed by gold, or they'll just use gold as a reference for their currency.
Yeah, that would be but that would just the American dollar, every other currency would just fall if they back their currency. Let's say even 70% of the gold standard, even 70% towards the gold standard. That would bring the West down to its knees.
Especially the U.S. and
Yep.
Canada as well.
Yep.
Canada, Bank of Canada has zero. We have probably more gold than the Bank of Canada. Everyone here on this live, on this show. But yeah, Europe. Strangely enough, the ECB they back their balance sheet with 15% gold, and they mark to market. So I think the euro would, strangely enough, do better than the dollar.
It will.
The
It will.
Yeah, and the Germans, I've heard that in Germany recently, a lot of people have been buying gold because they're changing the anti-money laundering
Here it
rules
is.
from the 1st of January.
Here it is. I was going to ask you this next. It's right here. I have it up right here, right beside your head. Germans rush to buy gold as draft bill threatens to restrict purchases from 10,000 euro to 2,000 euro. So I have it up right here. I was going to bring that up next, was my next question. So I'm going to tell you two words, and I want you to tell me what comes to mind when I tell you these two words. You ready?
Yep.
Deutsche Bank. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Derivatives.
I knew you were going to say derivatives.
Zombie bank, which is
I knew it.
2 words. Yeah.
I knew you were going to say derivatives. The D word, the big D word. Yeah, Deutsche Bank. So now look at this. So now, what's like, Mario? Let's be realistic here. Let's be realistic. With the amount of tonnage of gold and silver we have above ground, realistically, what's going to happen when people want to call in their gold and silver? What's going to happen to J.P. Morgan? J.P. Morgan has, let's say, a 3-inch stack of paper that's out there. That, this is how much silver we have, or silver that you have from us. And then they have 1 inch of actual silver in the reserves. What's going to happen when everyone calls in their stuff?
Well, the paper game is more pronounced on COMEX, the futures exchange.
Right.
And they leverage it many times over. And they can do that because the Bank of England, the New York Fed, they allow the bullion banks to lease supposed gold that they have. While the Bank of England has almost 5,000 tons, but most of it is owned by foreign central banks like Australia. They keep all their 80 tons with the Bank of England. Mm-hmm. And that hasn't been audited either, independently audited. There's a few guys in Australia who have covered that. So, over the years, there's been stories of banks in Europe where people have high net worth individuals who have accounts with ABN AMRO in Holland or other banks, and they buy gold and they think they have the gold, but they only actually have a claim on gold. Then they ask for the gold, and the bank says, "No, we can't give you the gold."
Because Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan, with the amount of silver certificates they have out there against what they have for silver, I mean, I'm scared. Like, people calling in, we're heading through some tough times. I want to stack some silver at my house. I'm going to call in Mike. I have a friend that sent me a photo of his 250 ounce silver purchase that he did in 2014 from J.P. Morgan of silver certificate he has. It's like, okay, can you call it in? He's like, I did. They're not calling me back.
Yeah, I don't recommend people deal with the banks in terms of precious metals, that they go to precious metals dealer and buy it directly. Yeah, bullion dealers. Never deal with the banks. I have a friend here in London. His family is quite wealthy, and he tells me, we got some gold. And I said, "No, did you actually buy the gold?" It said, "No, it's with J.P. Morgan." I said, "Well, it's you need to make sure you buy the real thing." He said, "Oh, you're too paranoid." But it's not. It's very clear that you don't deal with the banks if you want to have accumulate precious metals. But the day that more and more people, especially people with a lot of money that might have deals with banks, the day they demand physical, there's going to be two things. Either the banks are going to default and say we can pay you cash, or there's going to be a run on the physical market. Just like I think into 2011, I think one of the reasons gold went up a lot was because at the time it was Chavez, the president of Venezuela. Mm-hmm. He actually withdrew 100 tons or just over metric tons from the Bank of England in 2011 and had it shipped to Caracas. And I think that was one of the reasons gold went up a lot, because a lot of that gold was being leased many times over because they leveraged the leases. Like if you have 100 tons, let's say JP Morgan says, I want to borrow 100 tons, lease 100 tons. They only actually take 10 tons, and they even leverage the leases. So it's crazy.
So leveraging the leases on the lease and borrowing, repurchasing and borrowing back and re-leveraging and big Mickey Mouse. Our friend Lord Humongous is asking, ask Mario about Glint.
Glint, yeah. Glint basically is a company here in the UK that you can send them your fiat currency and purchase gold through their app, and that gold is held in an allocated account in a vault in Switzerland. You actually can also demand redemption of the gold. I think the minimum is 10 grams. And aside from that, they give you a MasterCard debit card where you can spend the gold. Of course, there's a transaction, very quick transaction from the gold to the local currency. And it's a really good concept. Unfortunately, in September, they went into administration here in the UK and in the EU. They kept operating in the US. And why did they go into administration? Well, there was a company in Singapore, I think, that wanted to take over them earlier in the year. They weren't successful. So what they did was buy one of their loans and then triggered a covenant in that loan that took them into administration, trying to buy them out like that. They're out of the administration now and they're up and running again. Mm-hmm. So I have been in contact with them already because I used to have a promo code for people to open accounts with Glint, but I'm not. I still want to speak to them again to make sure that that won't happen again, because people didn't lose any money or gold. They did what they said on the tin. The monies were protected, the gold was protected, but unfortunately, people couldn't access their gold and money for 2 months when they were in administration. It's a good idea, but it's still in its infant phase. Glint. I have a Glint card, but luckily I didn't have much in it when it went into administration, but I would still have it now. But people don't like not having access to their money and not being certain of things.
Right.
But
we got a question here from Reynaldo from New Mexico, who's watching right now. He's asking, he's actually truck driving right now. Yeah, he's probably pulled over somewhere. I hope he's pulled over. He's asking, ask your guest about silver and gold confiscations. It was a thing here in the States. Could it be a global thing? Will it be a global thing if gold becomes a thing again? Would governments start to go door to door to start collecting people's gold and silver?
Yeah, I guess there's a couple of answers to that question. The first one is that, governments can do anything, unfortunately. They could confiscate. The second one is that in 1933, when the U.S. government confiscated gold through the Federal Reserve, gold back then was the currency. It was money. So a lot more people had gold, and they needed to bring in the gold to get government spending going, because that was the money. Nowadays, it isn't. So I would probably wouldn't be as worried as much as in 1933, but as I said, you never know with governments. The other thing I would say, very few people nowadays own gold or silver or even know what gold and silver are. I don't know if you've seen Mark Dice on YouTube a
Yes,
few years
standing
ago.
outside the 7-Eleven
Yeah,
with a
and
10-ounce.
people they won't take the gold coin. They don't want to know. So,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why I don't think there will be confiscation. They already the policy of denigrating gold in the mainstream economic world, mainstream media, is already a kind of confiscation. And why do I say that? Well, because it puts people off from buying that gold, from having that gold. That's why they they denigrate people like us. They call us gold bugs, even though I don't have a problem with being calling a gold bug. Yeah, they say, oh, they're crazy, these people. And then it's a psychological operation to
Right.
get people, discourage people from buying gold, which is weird because they tell us that Chinese are bad, they're communist, but they encourage their people at least to protect themselves financially by buying gold, while our governments, which are supposed to be free and democratic, tell us don't say anything about gold.
Yeah, which is kind of scary because we all know that gold is the real intrinsic value. It's it's the real deal when it comes to trading. And I would I'm an entrepreneur, I own my own little store, and I would gladly accept gold from people. If someone came in, I'd give them spot value on gold for exchange for goods in my store. Not a problem. You know what I'm saying? I would accept it more than actual. The other day, a guy came in and I got these Eisenhower coins, and he bought something for me. These Eisenhower $1 coins. I think they're 40% or 60% or whatever they are in silver. He paid me with like 10 of those, and I gave him what he wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the solution to that would be to abolish legal tender laws that make the paper money the only thing you can accept, and let everyone compete and take the tax off gold and silver. I would rather get paid in gold and silver as well than Bank of England notes.
we did a Mike in the Night a few weeks ago discussing an off-grid town. We're just talking about fantasizing about an off-grid town. You got your greenhouses, you got your setup, you got this huge, nice organization, everybody working together. And we brought up minting our own silver. And there's two little towns in the United States, I think one in Louisiana and I think one in South Carolina, where they pay their workers in silver and they mint their own silver. Like, they actually make their own silver. They sell it on the market and they pay their employees in silver. It was a YouTube video, it was a documentary about it. I've seen it. I see how people go to their local grocer and say, this is the silver we minted. It's real. Okay, yeah, go ahead and buy whatever groceries. They do the exchange and stuff. So there's a couple of towns now in the U.S. that are sparking up, small towns, like laneway towns, like a couple of major streets, and that's it. And they're minting their own silver and they're trading it. You know what I'm saying? And they're making they're making it a thing.
Yeah, I mean, money is supposed to have some intrinsic value. Gold and silver, I think, is just in human beings' DNAs. For thousands of years, people value gold and silver. They store value quite well, better than paper. And people should be able to use it as a form of indirect exchange. And that's why they became money. So I would gladly accept silver and gold. But unfortunately, businesses have to pay tax in the local currency. So that's the only problem.
The taxation.
But yeah, and I think in the States and in the UK, for example, there's VAT on silver, so it's not on gold, but so it's difficult to deal in silver because if you want to be above board, you need to charge the VAT.
Right.
Yeah.
And the problem with I think one of the better administrations was the Eisenhower administration, because when they actually did bailouts or bail-in for companies and helped out, a lot of the money went into the hands of the workers. back during the Eisenhower. A lot of it went back to the middle class because they knew they were going to spend it and keep the economy. Now we're drying out. You see all of Western of the United States of America, the western part from Vancouver, Canada, all the way to San Diego, Tijuana, Mexico border. Everybody's completely bought out of that. Everyone's moved east, and now they're moving eastward, so it's wagons east. People are losing. Do you see people losing confidence in where they live now? Because you're seeing a mass exodus of, I don't know how many millions of people left California in the last 5 years. You have people leaving Washington State. Washington State, a majority of Washington State luxury condominiums and homes are owned by foreign Chinese numbered companies.
Yeah.
And the American proper cannot secure anything in those areas. They're all moving east, wagons east. Do you see people losing confidence in where they live?
Yeah,
I think big deal.
It's becoming more like third world countries where you either have a lot of money or no money. There's no middle class. So, and I think California, I don't know about British Columbia, but California, they have a lot of taxes, regulations.
BC's tax. Yeah, we pay. There's some people paying like $7. Oh, there was one guy I did on trends in the housing market. He was paying $55,000 a year in property tax for a really tiny little store on the street.
Yeah, I started a business here in the UK in 2012. I bought a franchise for a pawnbroking store called Cash Brokers. And I opened a little shop in the high street where I lived. And the business was good. It grew, but the more I grew, the more taxes and regulations I had to. And I couldn't hire. I had this tax called the business rates. I was paying like 10,000 pounds a year for nothing. And for a small business, it was a lot. I could have hired someone part-time to help me, but no, they really punish a small business. And I think that's like done on purpose because the big corporations, they don't want competition, and they control the politicians, and they tell them what regulations to have. It's ironic, but big corporations like regulations because they can get through it. Right. They can afford it, and it keeps their competitors away. Small business.
You know what this kind of reminds me of, if you want to go parallel with this, it's the whole, it's like a bad car insurance company. You're paying more in car insurance even though you have no claims because of the bad drivers.
Yeah, kind of.
I kind of see it. I kind of see almost like everything in that light nowadays. How why are you paying more in taxes? Well, we have a bad governing system, and they're misusing our funds, so they got to charge me £10,000 a year for nothing. So and
I think it's the Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller philosophy. He hated competition, and the people who were running things, the bankers, well, they're part of it, the Rockefellers. So the big corporations are controlled by them. They don't want the small mom pop business doing well. Countries like Germany is a little different. The small or mid-sized companies in Germany do quite well relative to countries like the US and the UK. And if you look at the data, for an economy, the best thing for job creation is small to medium-sized businesses. Yes. They create a lot more jobs. Big corporations, usually they're cutting back on employees.
and they're finding loopholes not to pay taxes, those big corporations. They always find a way.
Oh, yeah. They have offshore, how can I say, subsidiaries, and they transfer the profits offshore, and they keep them there.
Yeah, that's very scary, especially because it's the small to medium businesses that fund the public sector. Now, the public sector doesn't see funding. They just raise taxes.
Yeah, they just raise taxes, and interest rates are artificially low, so the governments can borrow as much as they want.
All right. I want to ask you one last question. I've had you here for a while. I don't want to... It's Sunday there. Is it Sunday morning?
Sunday morning. Yeah, it's almost 7 a.m. here.
Okay. Now, what advice can you give the next gen that's watching this? There's a lot of next generation. There's quite a few people watching us right now from I'm seeing here from Oklahoma. I have people watching right now from Central Florida. So, what
Yeah.
advice can you give some of the younger generation watching? I know the banks; they're vultures.
Yeah.
What advice do you want to give to somebody that's been waiting on the sidelines to buy a house or waiting on the sidelines to make a major purchase right now at the end of 2019 going into 2020? What would you tell them?
Ignore all the peer pressure. I remember in the early 80s, when I was in the States at university, there was an advert saying about buying a home and saying, you can have it all, right? Trying to lure people into taking on debt and buying a house. And I know it's important to have your own place, but don't be in a rush. Just live within your means and be disciplined. Try to do the best job you can do. Try to save if you can. And don't be pushed by the propaganda. Maybe stop watching television altogether.
Yeah.
And don't buying a house right now. Maybe buy a house, but instead of buying it in a place where you really like that is more expensive, try to find a place that isn't a horrible place, but maybe where you can get something that's a little less, that you won't have to mortgage yourself too much.
Right.
That's the advice.
Can you say something in Portuguese? Você pode falar português?
Falo português.
Diz.
Você fala português com sotaque português. O meu é português brasileiro.
É como Austrália. A Austrália fala como australiano.
Você tem o sotaque português. Meu avô, o pai da minha mãe, ele era português. Ele tinha um sotaque.
Oh, tá bom. Muito obrigado. Okay, Mario, buddy, lots of love. And hopefully we could come back on the show sometime, anytime. We got Trends in the Housing Market every Wednesday. I've been doing it for about 177 episodes where we're covering the entire Commonwealth and what's been going down. If you want to come on that, just let me know. I would love to have you on and give us a little bit of boots on the ground on what's happening in the UK and what's happening with this whole Brexit thing and, what's happening in this massive housing situation. If you want to... And anytime you want to come on Mike in the Night, please just let me know. I'd love to have you on. We cover various topics. I wanted to do more of an economic fog because a lot of people are in a brain fog right now when it comes to where to put their money and stuff or what to look at or who to trust. So
and just to let your viewers know, my YouTube channel, if they want to have a look, is Maneco64.
I'm going to open it right now with you on it. We're going to go back to your channel, and I'm going to put it in the... Here it is, Maneco64. I'm going to copy the link.
Great.
And I'm going to paste it here in the comments. And this show gets a decent replayability. Unfortunately, Mario, don't believe the numbers when you see the videos have 9 views on it. Don't believe it. There's a lot of people watching this. I have a lot of people in Toronto and people from Welland, from Auckland telling me, Mike, everybody knows you at work. Mike, everybody watches Trends in the Housing Market. Mike, I'm in Melbourne. I walked into the office and someone was watching you on their lunch break.
Yeah, I wouldn't understand why only 9 people watch your show, because I've really enjoyed it. And Mike, Lord Humongous said I should be on it. Then I thought, well, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, Lord Humongous is a great person. I like him very much. He's had my back here as a moderator. We've had him on the show many times. He's always working on something on the humongous land there in Colorado. So he's always keeping himself busy.
Great.
Okay, Mario, muito obrigado, amigo.
De nada.
De nada. Okay, man, you have a good day and Happy New Year, okay?
You too. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
So that's Maneco64. Guys, 64, Maneco. It's good. It's good to speak Portuguese once in a while. I speak Portuguese to my kids 24/7. So I'm making sure my kids speak Portuguese. If my son says, Daddy, I want to be an engineer. Sure, son, but you're moving to Angola so you could actually get a real job and get paid real money. Oh, my daughter says, I want to work as a consultant for some food ad. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but you're moving to Mozambique for 5 years. Or no, no, you're going to move to Brasilia. Heck, you're going to move to Macau. Anyways, guys, that was our man, Maneco64. He's got lots of stuff here. Let's look at some of his videos here. He's got inflation is the globalist a monetary tool for wealth. Vockler, like rate hikes, a possibility in 2020. Oh my God, I got to see this video. I didn't see this one. It's from a day ago. I don't get notifications from any channels. I lost... What am I sitting at? 69. I'm subscribed to 69 channels. I had 150 like a month ago. I don't even know who I lost. Oh my God. Germans rush to buy gold and silver in Cologne. Yeah, that's from 4 days ago. The Fed is probably hiding trillions of derivatives. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is a good, this one here is good. For sure. I never thought they would hide. I would think they would keep this stuff above board. But now that someone said it, it's probably happening. How I reserved type 2 diabetes medication part 1. That's a very important one there, especially for people. Medication's important. I had a friend who lived in South Florida that passed away because they gave him the wrong insulin or something was labeled wrong, and he ended up passing away from that. Yeah. Anyways, so other shout outs here. We got the Macronicle. Guys, don't forget to check him out. Uneducated Economist, don't forget to check him out. He just put up a video 2 hours ago. Chicken in China, prices soar, not for farmers. Yeah. And then we got Lord Humongous here. Don't forget to check him out. He promised he's going to do a video a week. I'm still waiting for this week's video. He's got 2 weeks ago. And we got Boom, Bubble, Bust, Repeat. I spoke to Boom, Bubble, Bust, Repeat. He said he wants to come on the show. He wants to discuss what is happening on his end. And he watches the channel. I'm very surprised I don't see him here in the comments. Very, very surprised he's not in the comment section. Very surprised. Because he's usually on every time he missed us. So, Boom, Bubble, Bust, Repeat. Let me just put a link to... a good insight. Someone knowledgeable that actually could tell you what's really going on right there. There's a link. Maneco64. Yeah, Lord Humongous has been sick. I'm praying for the guy, man. I'm praying for him. I pray. Mike Banks saying my mom is type 2. And Lord Humongous is autoimmune. Silver is real money. We got to get Silver is real money on the show too. Silver is real money. If you want to come on the show one time, anytime, give us your feedback. The derivatives market is 7 times the entries world's GDP for a year. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to agree with that. And man, how do we get ourselves into this position? Man, how do we get ourselves... And what do? They just start this whole thing we're going through right now. What do you call it? Social unrest. We're in the midst of some severely social unrest, and you know what? It's not good. It's not good. Social unrest is not good, and it leads to... I don't think it will lead to civil unrest, in my opinion, because a lot of people are docile, or they're not. A lot of people I've noticed just kind of go with the flow, and I'm kind of scared of that. Scared of that. All right, who do we got on the... Who can we get here? Who's here? Okay, we have uneducated economist. Andrew's at the gym. He's in Australia. Lost Canuck. Can't get a hold of Lost Canuck. I've been trying to get a hold of Lost Canuck out in Eastern Canada to find out what's going on. So I'm working on getting... hey, let's get Supreme Cannon on real quick. I know he's watching. I saw him in the comments there. Let's see if Supreme picks up.
What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Supreme Cannon, how are you, my brother?
I am just tremendous.
It's
How are you?
good to speak to you. It's been a whole week. I just thought I'd touch base with you.
Yeah, glad
Um,
you checked in. Yeah.
yeah, you got to come by and see me sometime when the weather gets better. I want to sit with you for a bit. Maybe
Yeah,
order a
same.
pizza, huh?
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, I've been meaning to, man. It just
I know you're
hasn't.
busy. I know you're busy.
Yeah,
I know.
just hasn't aligned. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so two words, and I want to know what comes to mind first.
Okay.
Deutsche Bank.
Ooh. I think of Deutsche Bank. I think like Volkswagen. Something you would think was staid and boring and conservative and run by technicians who were, not about financially jiggery pokery and at least had some memory of the German hyperinflations of the past and all that nonsense.
Wheelbarrows of
Yeah,
money. Wheelbarrows of money.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you couldn't buy anything with it, at least you could keep yourself warm by burning it. No, terrible. Their derivatives book is ridiculous. I see some speculation in the comments here, and I tend to agree. I think there's a contagion. That's part of why this repo thing has been getting so much press. It's just they're just trying to put out the spot fires, trying to keep them from growing into full scale blazes. And yeah, I would not be surprised if Deutsche Bank is at the center of a lot of it. Plus, banks are so incestuous; they're doing all these things with each other. When they
They don't
get to
even
the
trust each other. Why would they be doing things with each other if they don't trust each other?
Exactly. Here are the people who understand banking and how it really works, and they don't trust each other. You don't really need to know more than that, do you, folks?
Yeah.
They know better.
Um. Yeah. It's okay. Okay. So now, I'm really concerned. I'm. This is like the first time in a long time that I have a very big concern. Like, okay, is it keeping me up at night? Not really, but it's getting to a point where it's starting to come together. The story is coming together, like the Raven said. It's like a gigantic puzzle. It's coming together. We're starting to see the final work, the final
Yeah,
outlook of what we're building.
that's how I see it too. Yeah.
But why? But why are we so docile? Does Canada have a spine, a backbone, a backbone?
Well, as Mario pointed out, Theresa May. Everyone says, "Oh, she's dumb and she did a terrible job." No, she did a great job. She fought a rearguard action to try to run out the clock to keep the UK in the EU. And Canada has lots of people in Canada are Canadians. They are patriots. They're legacy Canadians. Some of them have been here for 400 or 500 years. They're not interested in they don't have a globalist outlook. Well, most of the people that live in Ottawa, that work there and in government, they don't think that way. They don't see things like that at all. They see nothing but positives for globalized trade, globalized finance, and the removal as much as possible of national borders. I mean, and you could see, because of world history and oh God, it's soaked in blood, all this territorialism. You could almost see the point,
Hmm.
but they throw the baby out with the bathwater. And what they do is I look at it like opening up the door in an airlock on your people and letting whatever is outside come in, or suddenly opening up all the doors at the zoo
But what
because the
happened to
tigers are so.
patriotism, man? What happened to our people? Our people. Um, like our national anthem used to. Well, I think our national anthem still says this: "God, keep our land glorious and free." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they don't want that. I've referred several times to the Great Enlightenment, right? The Age of Enlightenment. Well, all that was the rise of secularism. It was the rejection of really any kind of traditional value. You look at France 200 years later, and it's an economic basket case. And after World War I, I mean, they, their soil was soaked with the blood of an entire generation of their young men. And in World War II, well, I mean, it's not that they just gave up. They actually had a larger and more powerful military than the Germans did, but they just can't find their butt with both hands. They just were not coordinated. Their politics are fractioned and are fragmentary, and they're constantly squabbling. And the solution to all of it is just let the state just take care of more and more things.
No, we need less governance. We need to not be told how fast we should be going. We don't need to be told to wear a seatbelt. I'm talking about safety first, but
Sure.
I put my seatbelt on. Not because they're telling me to, it's because I want to be safe. I don't want to be demanded to do everything. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many things that happen in the world, or problems that were solved, and there are just people that believe, well, the reason that we have a 5-day work week and people work 8 or 10 hours a day, and the reason people wear seatbelts, okay, and the reason that we don't have so much prevalence of diseases that used to regularly carry people off in their childhood is because of the miracle of government regulation. They see the state as the solution to all problems. It's kind of a Marxism, but there has always been a fantasy of Marxism, for centuries. Karl Marx was just the first guy to really write it down. But the problem is, before industrialization, I mean, most people had to scramble to make a living. They had to hustle from sun up to sunset. They were growing food, or they were just scavenging whatever they could to get by. And the elites in those days, they were way more direct. They were way more in your face, and they expected to be worshipped as gods. In fact, it was considered sacrilege not to. At the time of Louis XIV, he used to say "L'État c'est moi," which means "I am the state." Which was kind of a way of saying the buck stops here, but it means the buck stops here. That means I get to be in charge of everything, and you all belong to me. There are just a lot of people that their sense of belonging doesn't have anything to do with a national identity or a religion or a culture. It's just more along the line of, okay, well, we're the ones in charge of running everyone's lives, and it's and we're good people. Everything that we do is good, and they see it that way.
I see them passing really hefty laws in the future where it basically is going to disallow people from growing food in their homes. It's going to disallow people from having a garden. It's going to disallow people from actually living off grid. They're already making it illegal in several states to live off grid, and
yes,
I think they're going to make that a bigger thing. I think we're free. Like, I mean, it's almost I don't know, Supreme. I don't even know how to put. It's getting to a point of if we're out of words. There's no words in the English language to describe how disenfranchised we've been and lost and where's the goal, the drive, the eye on the prize? Back in the days, like, I want to do well because hopefully one day I want to travel more and this and that, where people had this goal to work towards. But now it's like people are seeing everything's becoming more and more unaffordable. And like that email I read this morning from that guy, okay, I got the job and the money, but I still can't do anything because it's too expensive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and in the end,
how do we create motivation? How do we create morale? As I'm saying, we're all on a pirate ship. How do we keep people's morale up? How do we keep people from a mutiny? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, in a pirate ship kind of a scenario, you had to maintain iron discipline. That meant if someone stepped out of line, the captain had literally the power of life and death. Right? So most people, but the thing is about being a pirate, you were there voluntarily. Very few pirates were drafted, or there weren't really press gangs. It was more like the actual countries with the so-called legitimate navies that were stealing people off of ships and off the street and forcing them to serve in the Navy, that kind of a thing. So they had a code of their own, and it might have been mercenary at nature, but it's like, okay, you're here so that you can have a share of the booty when we win. Yeah. So everybody pull together. And the captain always has the power of life and death. And this is what modern politicians want. They fancy themselves to be sufficiently, sophisticated that they can micromanage your life and make it great. And we're just kind of like a mechano set to them, like an ant farm. What I mean?
But these guys, they don't even know if they're tricking or treating. They have no idea what's going on.
No, that's right. Yeah, no, they're very intelligent and well educated, but you yourself, and I'm sure everyone on here, if you're over the age of 30, you know educated people that haven't got a freaking clue.
Hmm.
They're absolutely normies and NPCs and whatever. They're just not. They just have a bigger box to think inside of, but it's a box with even more impermeable walls than somebody who maybe isn't as educated and isn't as afraid to explore, different alternatives, different possibilities, different ideas.
We got Mike Banks in the comments saying, I'm currently watching Mike in the Night on a 120-inch HD projector in my living room. Mike's head is so big.
Big Mike.
Yeah, pensions are going away. We gotta do another pension show coming up next year sometime.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea to monitor that because there's going to be a huge spillover effect from that. A large part of the Gilets jaunes protests in France are because of what they call pension reforms. Well, what pension reforms means either you got to work longer to get it now, or your benefits are going to be cut, or both, because France is bankrupt.
You know, I was talking to someone. He was on the what do you call it? City council. One of the city councilors there, south of LA County. There, forgot what it was called. And I was talking to him a few weeks back, and you know what he told me? He said that, Mike, I've been watching your trends in the housing market for years. Let me tell you something, Mike. He said, if the price of housing didn't skyrocket, we'd have 17,000 less homeless people that are homeless on a pension, living in a place and managing their own lives and paying their bills. Because the rent evictions, people being evicted for renovations, and people leaving their homes empty, it's caused this duress where you have like 14 to 17,000 homeless people on a pension.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, think about that. They're getting a check from the government.
But they used to live in some
street.
moderate place, nothing's fancy, but
yeah,
they're forced to be homeless because they can't afford to pay their rent.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and there's no cap on it. I usually bring more of a free market guy. I don't like the idea of things like rent controls, but it gets to the point where, like in New York, it's a progressive idea, and you can definitely see the downsides to it. But my God, there's no way in hell prices should be going up that high that fast. It's not like wages have been rocketing for the last 10 years.
No.
Like if everyone was suddenly, if there was full employment for the last decade and everyone was just making unbelievable money, and every place was, they're hiring dogs off the street to come in and run errands for them because they can't get people, because it's so hard to find people, and it doesn't matter what you pay, you can't get anybody to show up. That would be different. None of that is happening. There is no economic rationale that I can think of other than ridiculously cheap money and offshore money, not necessarily scooping up all the houses, but definitely keeping, ratcheting
$200
up.
billion worth in Canada.
Yeah, and if anything, that puts a peg under the price. It doesn't necessarily spike it that much if it's, say, 5 or 10% of total real estate expenditures in a year, and supposedly it's not more than that. But it will definitely put a floor under the price.
Right.
And it will spike the price in some areas where you have a lineup of buyers ready to bid on a property.
4 major cities in Canada?
Yeah.
We're not America. If we were in Texas, let's say we were in California, I'd say, okay, well, we're going to move to Fort Worth now. We're done here. It's over. Let's pack up and go. That's it. We're done, right? But
we have nowhere to go.
I moved to a small town, Merritt. It was here, or I go back to Portugal, and that's it. It's over. If I didn't move to this town, I just go back to Portugal. What am I going to do here? That's why a lot of Europeans are mass exiting Eastern Canada.
Yeah, they're just going back there. It's Canada, because of that 49th parallel. Yeah, we don't have a lot of big cities, and we should have more. I would think economic policy has had a lot to do with why we don't have more. So they kind of butt up against the 49th parallel, but down south from the 49th parallel down to the Gulf of Mexico, yeah, you've got all of this space, and it's all fully developed and crisscrossed with every kind of infrastructure you could need. Yeah, you can, there's how many cities are there in the States between 50 and 100,000 people? Here, that's a significant community. Down there, that's an average, large town.
Oh
It's
man,
not a, it's not a big deal.
you're in like Florida, for example, right? You
Yeah.
start right at the bottom at the Keys. You got cities. You got the Florida. You got Key West. You got little cities up there, like smaller cities, but big enough that are bigger that could dwarf a lot of these small Canadian towns. Then you
Yeah.
move up into the mainland, Florida mainland, to Homestead. You go to you get to Key Largo, Homestead, Miami Beach, North Miami. You got all these cities. Then you got Fort Lauderdale. Then you got Fort Lauderdale. Then you got Glades. Then you got West Palm Beach. Then you got you know what I'm saying, right?
Oh yeah,
You
we've
got
done
so many cities you could move to. And heck, you don't like the state of Florida? Then you move to, let's say, South Carolina. You got like 4 or 9 bigger cities in there.
Oh, sure.
You don't like it? Move to Georgia. Georgia, you got 4. You got Macon, Georgia. You got Savannah. You got Atlanta. You got all kinds of places you could move to. Valdosta or whatever the hell you call that. But there's lots of places to be in one state. And Canada as a whole, we're tough pushing. What are we gonna do? We can't move to Newfoundland. A lot of it is foreign invested owned in some of the parts, and Prince Edward Island, the prices are going up right now because of a lot of foreign investing that's happening there, and
Yeah.
a lot of people exodusing Ontario, moving to Newfoundland and PEI. A lot of people moving out there to those cities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
they are.
It's crippling. It's crippling us. It's like, what happens to the Canadian proper? We built this infrastructure and whatnot. They don't want us here no more?
Well, it makes you feel that way, doesn't it? But a large part of it is they're not they're not fixing the attention on Canadian workers. Like I say, they've got this more global orientation. When you have a prime minister that says Canada is a post-national nation, what he means is he's not going to make us a priority anymore. He just sees a kind of a rainbow. We're just going to be this big rainbow cookie collective and a lunch counter for the third world to come in.
Lunch counter.
Yeah,
Mario
just basically.
Mennicko64 in the comments saying, "Hey, Lord Humongous, I enjoyed the show. Thanks for having me. Everybody get over to his channel. Let me get to his channel and plug it again. Mennicko64. There it is right there. I'll leave a link in the comments below, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to his channel. We're going to get a lot of replay. You want to know something? I was going into the analytics of my channel.
Uh-huh.
I'm almost always reaching 5 million views, and then something happens in my view, like my total views. If you go to my channel, it's like 4,800,000 or 600,000 views, right?
Sure.
And then I get ready to organize something for like a party with the family for us to celebrate 5 million views, and then it goes back to 4,200,000.
It's kind of like the internet version of the London gold fix, I guess.
Okay,
every
so
morning,
this was
every
before
morning
I
at
moved
9
to Merritt.
o'clock.
Before I moved here to Merritt 3 years ago, I actually was going to celebrate with my wife and kids at a buffet because I was reaching 5 million views.
Sure.
And I'm still trying to reach 5 million views, even though I'm getting just in and around 1 to 2 million views a year.
Sure, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It has to be. It has to be an algorithm. I think there's just too many channels for a person sitting at a desk monitoring it. There has to be something throttling it. And it might not all be political. It could be economic in some way too.
Yeah.
I'm sure politics has a lot to do with it, because we know that there aren't a lot of liberals getting throttled unless it's particularly egregious, and then they get reported by somebody else for something really out there. But by and large, no. The kind of content you're running are the things that seem to get throttled. There's just certain things that they don't want discussed that deeply, but they don't stop it. Like, because here you are. Here's Mario. Mario is, he's woke. He knows the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Evan is up and coming. He does okay. He's about 1,300 followers on Twitter now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
His YouTube channel should take off this year. Yeah, uneducated economists. These are, you're all great guys, and you've got a lot of information, and they're not helping you, but as long as you're persistent, they're not really stopping you. Yeah, we all thought December 10th there'd be this great grim reaper would go through and harvest all these channels. Some have obviously disappeared, but you're still here, and it looks like things have actually gotten marginally better since then.
You know what? I'm going to be really frank with you, Supreme. The other day, I was surprised that my subscription count went up. I was so because I was sitting at the same subscriber count for like 5 months. And then it went up for some reason, and like, whoa, wow, it went up. It went up because something I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna go to here. Let me go to my guys. Don't forget to check out the community on the channel, guys. Here, I'll show you guys. This is the community. I put up polls here for you guys. Here's one I put up the other day. It's got 7 comments. There's the other one I put today. Listen to this. Okay, we're on topic here. We're staying on topic. Okay, Supreme, here goes. Google fired an engineer who built a tool that notified employees of their labor rights. She's the 5th employee this month to accuse the company of illegal retaliation. So she created an app basically to tell you what your labor rights are.
Mm-hmm.
And she got fired.
Yep. They don't want that. And the thing is there's a psychology to it too, right? I mean, anyone who saw that would go, oh, okay, well, I better go look up what my labor rights are. But they don't want you discussing it. Mm-hmm. You know, you can know what your rights are, and you can know that they're violating their rights, and you can know that they know they're violating their rights. But as long as you, keep your head down and don't say anything, they don't care what you know.
Okay, here it is. Stats. So the channel, I'm at 4.4 million views. So I was approaching 5 million several times. Yeah. Maybe there's something happens when your channel gets to 5 million. You go to a different algorithm or something.
Well, it could be. It might be something that levels you up to another level of monetization or something like that. And so it might just be an automatic blanket throttling back, where they just keep certain channels below a certain level, and it may not necessarily be because of your politics or the subject you're talking about, but just the size of your viewership. It could be something like that. And I mean, in the end, they do kind of have to keep it on the down low. See, Lord Humongous pointed out something there too. Yeah, like they're starting to come under a lot of government scrutiny. Mm-hmm. You know, and the U.S. Senate and Congress, you could say, oh, well, yeah, they're all bought out whores and whatever. Yes, but they're politicians, they're opportunists, and they're looking for scalps, so that they can get reelected. So they can say, I fought the man on your behalf. I fought big tech on your behalf.
Well, instead of ruining it by flooding our immigration and doing all this weird stuff they're doing, why don't they just fix the elections and then be with it, and then let us live our lives and stop ruining everything for everybody?
Yeah, well, they don't want you to live your life. Your life is unsustainable, don't you know? And you're kind of a useless eater, and they know better than you. You got to live in a pod and eat bugs to save the planet, man. I saw it was a byline from, I believe, the Toronto Star just before Christmas, where someone was floating the idea that we should treat this climate crisis like a world war, so then we could institute rationing. And the reason that you'll float a trial balloon like that is, the thing about rationing is, of course, during a time of war, emergency, governments need all the money they can get. They tax the crap out of everything. They print money like it's going out of style to pay for it all. And the only way that you can prevent hyperinflation on the home front is you have to institute rationing. So you're allowed X number of kilograms of meat or sugar, or 2 loaves of bread a day or whatever, right? And the idea is,
they do that in Egypt? 2 pieces of bread every day from the president? Egypt did that. And then after he got ousted, the Egyptian president got ousted, no one got bread anymore.
Well, yeah, they probably couldn't afford it. Yeah. So that it's an idea of, if they're floating the idea of rationing, then they're trying to have things the way they are and get everyone to voluntarily participate in limiting their own consumption. And you can actually make a case for that, I think, because there's no question. I don't think that we have that much control over global climate, but in terms of polluting, fouling our own nests and things like that, and the places where we live, there's no question about it. There are places that just aren't livable anymore because of all this development, and all of this development has been created by this We live in a fake world, and we have a dome over us made of fake money, printed up money. We don't live in reality. We're living on a factory farm, and we're the farm animals.
Well,
But it gets to the point where they can't sustain it anymore. I think they're behind schedule. I think these people thought that they would have total control of everything 30 years ago.
yeah, just like at the UN meeting, was it the summit meeting where
Yeah.
George Walker Bush was saying a new world order, a world, not the law of the jungle, but the law of the land. Remember that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Ryan Holden, they want to put you on a carbon limit. Basically, yeah, I think so. Energy use is what distinguishes the first world from the third world. I think every person, I had an engineer on some blog explained it. Basically, the average person in the Western world uses about 5 kilowatt hours of energy every day, whether that's electricity, whether that's gasoline, diesel. A kilowatt is just a measure of power, right? It doesn't matter how you get it. And the cost of all those different kinds of power is pretty similar. You know, a kilowatt hour of electricity, a kilowatt hour in gasoline, the rest of it is actually a fairly similar price. So you've got all these different sources of energy. Mm-hmm. In the third world, it's more like 1 kilowatt hour. It's the difference between the first world and the third world is available energy.
Okay, I got a
so
comment.
They want to limit it.
I have a comment that I'm backing 100%. It's from Silver is Real Money. Volcanoes produce 98.9% of the world's CO2.
Sure. I absolutely believe it.
I 1 trillion% back that. So we need to have a war against volcanoes, not against us.
We need to declare war on volcanoes. We need to keep dumping cement in them until they stop doing what they're doing. We should get a handle on those volcanoes, Mike.
Yeah, because realistically, if you want to find the true carbon culprit, it's volcanoes. We talked about this. Yeah. Remember, we talked about this during a year ago on Mike in the Night. We were talking about Mount St. Helen, how much soot and ash was put into our ionosphere and up in our we were completely blanketed. We had like 3 or 4 of the coldest winters in a row because of that Mount St. Helen.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely. Well, Krakatoa in 1883. It got noticeably colder and for several years after that because of so much dust and stuff that was, plug the volcanoes with leftists, exactly. Well, we don't have any virgins to throw in volcanoes anymore, so I guess we could use leftists. We'll drop them right out of the helicopters.
Yeah, just like that Briex guy that fell out of the helicopter.
That's right, plainly an accident, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, plug the volcanoes with leftists. That's not a bad idea. That's a 2-for-1 when you think of it, because they were going to go out the helicopters anyway. So we'll plug the volcanoes with them, and we'll solve 2 problems. That's excellent. Yeah. The difference between the worlds was infrastructure, Mike Banks. Well, up to a point, yes, but you need money to produce infrastructure. You need an organized society to produce infrastructure.
Oh, we just printed now. Before we used to tax people's wages, but now that the people aren't working anymore, we'll just print more money to keep this infrastructure going, and we'll tax the crap out of what's left of the middle class.
That's right. We'll just fill the potholes in the streets with $100 bills.
Yeah, remember that guy with that little place there, $55,000 a year for property tax?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You know what you could buy in Costa Rica for $55,000? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. Yeah, tax the volcanoes. Well, apparently the largest greenhouse gas by far is water vapor. And as long as we have that big yellow ball in the sky and a planet 70% covered with water, we're not going to solve the problem with that. Yeah. So, and actually, I think that actually cools things off because evaporation actually makes cold air.
Okay, what do we do about, like, my question is, like, is a kind of important one. What do we do about the whole eating bugs thing? I mean, how does that work? Because I'm not really, I'm a meatitarian, and it's part of my religion. What do I do?
Yeah, it's a personal choice I've made too. Absolutely, yeah. Well, I think the answer is no. Just don't buy the damn bugs.
Yeah, because I'm a meatitarian, and I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna jump on that bandwagon. I'm sorry, man. I've jumped on other bandwagons. I'm not gonna lie to you. I jumped on the 2012 bandwagon. The world's gonna end. The Mayan clock. Everything's pointing to this. I jumped on that. I jumped on that bandwagon. I believed it. I didn't believe the world was gonna be underwater though, because I could see right through Al Gore. But realistically. I'm a meatitarian, and I'm not changing that for anybody.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if I have to have a cow in my backyard named Betsy that's going to provide me meat in the fall, I don't care if I have to, because I have the land for it now.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, you grow your own food. Perfect. Yeah, yeah. I actually read an article about a month ago from this lady. She's a reporter, a journalist back east somewhere in New England, and she actually tried that eat bugs challenge for a while. And there are apparently all these recipes so you could eat crickets and cockroaches and whatever. Hey, and she even made her boyfriend participate with her for about a week and just tried to make it work, eh? And she just documented how she felt about it. And after about a week, she was so depressed and so nauseated that she's just traumatized herself over it. And I'm like, no, how about we just not go there at all? There's a reason we don't eat that stuff. In sub-Saharan Africa, like those big termite mounds, right? And they rise up on the savannah, and some of them look like they're 10 feet tall. They're like termite cities, right? And they're only when it's time for them to fly, like the ones that are going to go out and make new colonies, they have wings on them and they come out and then they fly. And what they do is they block off all of these holes all over it except for one on the bottom, and then they make a shape like a bowl. So they can sit around while these flying ones come out, and the only way out is through this one on the bottom, and then it's like a bowl full of popcorn, and they just sit there and pull the wings off them and eat them. Mm-hmm. I don't want to live like that. I'm good. I'm thankful that some people have found a way to, stomach, like apparently there's hot dog stands in Indonesia that sell deep fried tarantulas. Well, bless their hearts. I'm not interested.
Okay, there's a very important subject here we need to talk about too.
Okay.
ManBearPig.
ManBearPig.
Do you know who that is? Do you know what that is?
Well, I've heard of it.
ManBearPig is basically a whole thing from South Park. I think you need to see it. There's a few clips on it. People in the comments should be basically jumping on right now when they see this. ManBearPig. Let me see if there's something on Wikipedia for ManBearPig. Here we go. ManBearPig, Wikipedia. ManBearPig is the 6th episode in the 10th season of American animated television series South Park, the 145th episode of the series overall. It first aired on Comedy Central. The United States on April 26, 2006. In this episode, Al Gore visits South Park to warn everybody about the creature called ManBearPig, an allegory for global warming. Gore then gets Stan, Kyle, and Cartman and Kenny trapped inside of the Cave of Winds. The creature is actually a homage of the eco-horror cult film The Prophecy, directed by John Frankenheimer, wherein the film's monster is a result of basically the environment. So ManBearPig is basically Al Gore dressed up as this to pass it off, to get people to believe in his thoughts. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
So he goes out and dresses up like ManBearPig, and I'll show you guys the attire that Al Gore wears in the episode here. Let me go to images. So there it is right there, guys, on your screen. There's Al Gore, and he is wearing the ManBearPig costume. So let's go back to what we were talking about 5 minutes ago. Now, here he is. You see how they're propagandizing this and making people believe in something that doesn't exist, that they go so far and be that themselves.
Yeah. They live the part, right? Method acting 101. You act like someone who knows something that other people don't, that the world is going to end in 12 years, and you start getting people out there and they get frantic, and they know that a certain number of people are going to buy it, and it doesn't even matter if half the population thinks it's garbage, as long as you've got the support of a slightly larger than half, or at least they don't stop you, right? Like this whole climate change thing to begin with, if you say, well, I don't think it's that big of a deal, or I don't think it's something we can control, or whatever it might be, what do they say? They say you're a science denier. It's like saying you're a Holocaust denier.
Do you see that? Do you see the screen right now?
Yeah.
You see that fear? They made a fear with ManBearPig.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that? They've actually spun this off into this allegory is really good, because people are becoming they're so. There it is, ManBearPig right there. People are around marijuana plants. So people are so disenfranchised with their own lives that they start believing in some of this stuff and wanting to become part of a global thing to fix the world, thinking they're doing something better for everybody, but realistically, they're just joining the fear.
That's right. Yeah, it's just to set up a panic so that the people offering the solution will get the go-ahead to institute the solution for something that isn't real. And it's got nothing to do with saving the world. It's got nothing to do about saving you and me. It's about getting control. They don't care about you and me. It's just we'll get the power and we'll figure out what to do with all these people later.
Well, I have something to what was I going to say? Oh, man, I totally forgot what I was going to say. I was going to tell you something about something that's kind of important. But anyways, that's okay. That's okay. We're going into my 2 hours and 40 minutes here, and...
Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
Are you still sick?
No, I'm good. Some went down the wrong way. I'm chugging coffee here. Yeah, it's kind of the Earth Day version of Chupacabra, right? It's just Sasquatch.
Well, Ryan Holden has got it right. It's all about the power.
It's all about the power.
Remember Scarface?
Yeah.
What did Scarface says?
First you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the girl. So there you go, boys. There's the formula, in case you didn't know it.
We get the Scarface rules here. First you get the money, then you get the power, and then you get the women. And I'm just trying to see if I can find a clip of it here so it won't flag my video. But I got to throw in and say hello to my little friend.
Say hello to my little friend.
I love this.
That's classic.
Oh, this is classic.
How many holes did he have blown in him before they finally took him out with that shotgun? That's incredible.
You want to play rough?
Bolivian marching powder.
Say hello to my little friend.
I wonder if those guys died.
I think most of them did.
Okay. Do you want to play rough?
Want to play rough?
Okay. Say hello to my little friend.
Yeah, that's my favorite scene from any movie on the world.
A grenade launcher on it. Yeah. Unreal.
Okay, it's New Year. What do you got planned?
New Year, I think I don't have a lot of plans. The Legion here they've got a dance coming on. Let's just walk in. You don't need reservations or tickets or anything for it. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about actually just going to my brother's place, but he's not feeling too well, and we don't know if
no one's feeling well. Everyone's got diarrhea or they're throwing up.
Oh, it seems like it. Yeah. So I'm not counting on it. So I'll probably just go to the Legion. Last time I went, I was there and they had karaoke, and I saw some people I hadn't seen in years. So it was kind of nice. It was Old Home Week, and I had just come back from moving up north. So and I was there, but I was there till 12:30. I don't even think I stayed. As soon as you blow the whistles and put your little hat on and sing Auld Lang Syne, basically there's not much to do after that. Mm-hmm. So I'm usually home by 12:30. I'm getting old. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'll party
We're
like
all
I
getting
used.
Old.
Yeah. Well, it beats the alternative though. Mm-hmm. You could stop getting older. That's not real appealing.
I think old is state of mind.
Well, it totally is. Your body may differ now and then, but really, I know people that are 20 years older than me, and they just give her. They're doing fantastic. As much as anything, it's like, what's your passion in life? What are the things that motivate you and keep you happy and keep you getting up in the morning and excited about your day, right? Like they always say, follow your passion, right? Well, yeah, that sounds real good until you get people that get old in Broadway and in Hollywood and never did get the role, or played in a bar band for 25 years and never did get a record. Mm-hmm. Sort of thing. It's like, no, not really. Like have a life, right? Most people, they're not as either there's way too many talented people in the world for the number of opportunities to be rich and famous, or they're not as talented as they thought they were.
All right. Well, that was a good end note there. Supreme, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, making Mike in the Night what it is. And without you guys, without all our guests or people coming on and watching, we don't exist. I want to thank everyone for this for tonight, and yeah, thanks for coming on, bud.
Hey, anytime. I love the interactions, Mike, and I was really glad to see Mario come on. It was great that he came on to contribute. And everyone, stay safe, and we'll see you in the new year.
God
God
bless
bless.
That is Supreme Cannon. Been a regular on the show for. Let's watch this again.
Come on.
I have that same suit, eh?
Okay. Do you want to play rough? Okay. Uno. Say hello to my little friend.
I wonder if those guys died. Anyways, let's play it one more time before we go tonight. Guys, don't forget to support me on Patreon. I'm trying to get to 25 Patreon supporters by Christmas. Looks like I'm not going to... Well, by the end of this year now. Looks like I'm not going to make it, unfortunately. Here it is. No, that's just plugs. Yeah, here are plugs. Guys, here we go. The Macronicle, Uneducated Economist, Lord Humongous, Boom, Bubble Burst, and we got... Here we go. Maneco64. And then, guys, don't forget, if you want to support me on Patreon, $1 a month. The price of a cup of coffee. Please go ahead and do that, guys. $1 a month. That's $12 a year. I only had 22 Patreon supporters. I'm happy. I'm happy. It almost pays the cable bill. And I wanted to play one last Mike in the Night for this year. We're out for the year, guys, and let's throw it out one last time. Sing it, folks.
Gemini King, Mike in the Night, and the Gemini crew. Ooh. Night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world, give this page another turn, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Everything's alright when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Giving the world light when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Sometimes things are just absurd, so let's just talk about the world, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world, give this page another curl, 'cause you're here with us tonight.
Thank you, everybody. Great show tonight, and Happy New Year to everybody. God bless. Stay safe. Have a good night.